Good day, everybody, and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 232 are open. This week on the show, Sakurai's a YouTuber. Look out, subscribe, like, and all that stuff to his channel. I know I did. There's some new Pokemon shoes coming out in Australia. And we do a little Gamescom roundup highlight as well. And to join me to talk all about that is a very special guest. His name's Seth, and he's from the All N, a Nintendo podcast, and Keep Nintendo Weird podcast. Seth, welcome to the house. I'm very excited to have you here and have an opportunity to have a chat with you, my friend.
Man, I am so stoked to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Like, we've been kind of like aware of each other for a while. We have a lot of mutual friends, and we've just been kind of like missing each other in these like Nintendo podcast, indie Nintendo podcast realms. And here we are. It has been long past time to finally hang out with you and chat, one-on-one. I'm so stoked. So stoked.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can echo that. And I know for me, I talked a bit about this in DMs with you, but I'm a little bit shy when it's like, oh look, they're doing cool work. I'd like to talk to them. A little bit shy, And,
I am too, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got out of my shell a little bit, but then sort of with COVID and everything, not going to PAX and interacting with as many people, so I went back into that shell a little bit. But I think it's time to crack out that a little bit more and talk to more awesome people like you. People who do excellent work that I respect and I enjoy. And I was binging a lot of your YouTube videos last night, actually, looking at your discussions and how your little vlog when you went and tried like the Nintendo ice creams at Cold Stone.
Yeah.
Because we don't have Cold Stone here. Well, at least not in this part of Australia. I got no idea about Sydney or whatever. But those flavors look delicious. I really want the Mario Party one with the cake in it. That looks awesome,
dude. It's so good. I still think about it. Like it was like it was maybe, I'm not kidding. I know this is just like a dumb Cold Stone Nintendo collaboration. I'm not sponsored by Cold Stone, I promise.
Not yet.
That was probably the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. Like, it was so good. I still think about it. Like I like daydream about that ice cream. It was ridiculous.
Because like the other two flavors, there was an Animal Crossing, a Kirby, and a Mario Party flavor.
Yeah,
you weren't super hot on the other two flavors, but you loved the Mario Party flavor because it had like cake and stuff in it. It looked really good.
It was, yeah. It's like pieces of just like chopped up bits of like yellow cake. It's got sprinkles in it, cake batter, ice cream. But then like the big thing is they just put cake frosting in it. Like they just straight up put cake frosting in it, and it's just decadent. It's ridiculous. Like, it has no business being that good.
Because my wife the other day, she bought some brownies off of a family friend who's starting up his own business just from home, just doing cooking and meals like that. And the brownies, she's like, oh look, they're not even cooked. And I'm like, is that a bad thing? Because brownie batter is delicious.
I was about to say, I love them like that. You can't really mess up a brownie for me. Yeah.
No. Well, I guess you can. Like, if it's too dry, I really don't like, when it comes to brownies and that, I don't like it being crunchy. I like it just being real gooey. So the gooier the better. Don't even cook it. Just
you ever
give
have
me the bowl and the spoon.
You ever have like a chocolate lava cake? Like a lava crunch cake or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, so good. I love that stuff, man. I'm down. Like, I don't know. I have to be careful around sweets because it's a weakness. I need to be careful around it.
Because we're watching your video, we're just watching it in bed on my phone, and it was like 11 o'clock, and we're both thinking, God, we're watching this delicious ice cream being consumed on a nice hot day. Here in Australia, it's winter time. But we'll still.
Right.
I was thinking about getting out and getting some ice cream because I was just at the supermarket getting some cookies and cream. So I'm like, do I crack it open? I did not. I resisted the urge.
Resisted temptation. That's wild. I actually forgot all about that, man. I've sometimes I just like, I feel like I'm so ignorant just living in my little like dumb American bubble, and and it's just like so hot over here. It was that day was particularly hot. I think it was because I live in Louisiana, and it's very, very humid here. And it is, I think that day in particular, the heat index was like 112 degrees or something like that, Fahrenheit. It was nuts.
Yeah, no, that sounds a bit much, because it gets hot here as well. But the last few years, honestly, it's only been a few days, and I think we need a translator here, because I would say like 40 degrees Celsius. So I got no idea.
I don't know what the
I can't convert it for you.
exchange rate is.
I don't know either.
We're both just in our little bubbles, man. It's all good.
Yeah, because like 100 to me, that's literally like a kettle boiling water. Like that is that is death. So I'm not sure exactly how to translate it for you, but anyway,
You got
hot.
me wanting to work it out. Look it up now. But
Makes you just want to sit inside and be in the air conditioner.
That's what we ended up doing. That's definitely what we ended up doing, because so 112 is 44 Celsius. So whatever that means,
Okay.
according to Google.
Yeah, right.
So
all right, now
it was
I've got an idea. So yes, very hot.
hot.
No, definitely ice cream weather.
Yeah, it was good ice cream weather, and it was a good like promotion for them, to have out for the summertime. You know. Good
No,
promotion.
definitely. Yeah. So Seth, you you run a couple of podcasts, and you've got the YouTube channel All N. Tell us a bit about the content you make, because we were talking last night. You said that you've been making content for a long time, but then you dived into Nintendo focused stuff, and you started enjoying that. But for people that don't know what you do, let us know what's going on in the world of All N.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So it really kind of started with my good friend and co-host Eric. He and I linked up. We've been friends for a very, very long time. And we sort of just had this thought of like we've always wanted to work together. And so in the height of the pandemic, I was just like holed up in my apartment at the time, playing Animal Crossing, drinking a lot of coffee, and listening to Nintendo podcasts. I get in these weird modes where I just like I want to listen to podcasts or whatever about the thing that I'm into at the time. So like all of a sudden I find myself listening to the Nintendo dads, I find myself listening to Sean and Bobby, and like I just started going through their backlogs. And at a certain point I had this thought. I was like, man, I should just like hone in on the Nintendo thing, because as you alluded to, I've been making content on the internet for a long time, and it's always been kind of like general pop culture stuff. It's never been focused. And those dudes and like the shows that they make, and like what they kind of meant to me in that time was sort of the impetus that I needed to start All In with Eric, and we just did it. And those early episodes are rough. Eric's on his phone in those episodes, and but we made it work. Like we just did it, and that was the important thing. And here we are now, 2.5-ish years later, and yeah, it's awesome. We got this whole community, and we get to interact with people like you, and it's great. So I guess the podcast, All In a Nintendo podcast, is at the heart of it, which is a weekly Nintendo variety show where Eric and I kind of go through the different facets of being a Nintendo fan. So we cover, the weekly Nintendo news. We talk about what we've been playing and stuff, just like most podcasts. But then we have these other segments. We do weekly top fives. Like this week, we did the top 5 Nintendo exclusive first-person shooters. We always try to have kind of an interesting spin on our top fives. We do an indie showcase every single week where we talk about and highlight a like standout game on the Switch eShop. And then we have kind of a revolving fourth segment, which could be anything from a developer interview to like a retrospective or a review discussion or whatever. And it's all these segments kind of mashed together into this Nintendo wonderland. And we provide timestamps because it ends up being a long show, and we get it. We're like Joe Rogan length. We're sitting here, 3.5-hour podcasts. We get it. Sean was telling me the other day, he's like, yeah, because I listen to all my podcasts on like 2 times speed. And I was like, oh, like you listen to All In on 2 times speed. It's like a normal podcast length.
Yeah, just put it down to an hour and a half.
Yeah, just cut it right down to an hour and a half like a normal show. And then my other show is Keep Nintendo Weird, which is a weird Nintendo podcast about loving weird Nintendo games. It's just me and a guest gushing about a Nintendo game that we love for a little bit. And it's all about passion and just loving that sort of weird era of Nintendo. And yeah, that's a really special show to me. That's kind of my baby. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I make video essays on the YouTube channel. I make little vlogs. I guess now I did that ice cream vlog, and I just kind of like to. I love to write. I love to kind of learn this video editing thing. I'd never done that before, so I'm kind of learning how to do that, and making video content on YouTube as much as I can get away with, and streaming on Twitch as much as I can get away with. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
No, that's awesome. And just like with all the like video stuff you're doing as well, because I really want to get into making more video content too. It's just finding the time, and even
So time consuming. Yeah.
I feel like if I want to do it, I just got to sort of give up a lot of gaming, and then that affects the podcast. I just got to find that balance of how much time
So
to put
hard.
into each thing. Yeah, let alone work and family. I just had a baby boy 6 months ago, so he
Yeah.
rightfully so takes up pretty much all my time, which is great. I love him to bits, and it's crazy how fast he's growing up. It just really puts in perspective of how long 6 months actually is, because it feels like nothing to me, but it's obviously
Blinks right by. Yeah.
something. It's definitely something to him.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, that's all fantastic, man. So obviously at the end of the show, we'll do another spiel. Go and check out Seth's stuff. But Seth, you're obviously familiar with Sean and Bobby, what
Yeah.
those two done, and unfortunately, Bobby passed away. But we always try to pay tribute to him on the show, share the positivity around the community that listens to us or that listened to him when a few years ago when he was still with us. So we've got a segment called Guru Geekouts where we just say something we're grateful for, or something we really enjoyed over the last week. And I don't know if you got one in mind, but I'll start off. The day of release of this show is my best friend and co-host of the House of Mario's birthday. So big shout out to Bryce DeWitt. Couldn't join us
Happy
again this
birthday.
weekend, but big happy birthday to Bryce. Love him to bits. When you're listening to this, I might be over at his place with a 6-pack of beer, having a quick beer with him.
Hey,
So
there it
hopefully-
is.
So yeah, go and wish Bryce a happy birthday on Twitter at Bryce DeWitt, or in our Discord community. There's a link in the show notes if you want to pop in there and say happy birthday. But yeah, even if you're listening 2 weeks later, say happy birthday for a couple of weeks ago, and he'll be like, thanks. No
Will
worries.
still be appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah. He won't not appreciate it. He won't be like, oh, look, he won't be tapping his watch, but like, where were you 2 weeks ago?
Where were you 2 weeks ago, man? Come on. It's the thought that counts, right?
Absolutely.
Well, so for mine, I was thinking about this, and by the way, I love that you do that. What a great idea that is. I love and think about Bobby Paul so much. What a great tribute that is. So I love that you do that on the show. For me, and this is actually kind of Bobby adjacent. So our mutual friend Sean Capri and his carpool gaming community, they do amazing work over there. Shout outs to Carpool Gaming. Love those guys, love him, love his crew. But they have a kind of like, I don't want to say sub community, but they have this like video game book club called the Backtrackers. And I just am so thankful for the Backtrackers, man. Like I try not to sound like too much of like a shill or like sound like I'm like being hyperbolic or whatever, but like I joined them for the first time I think in like April or May or something like that, and it was like a game changer for me. Like it was such a positive experience. Like I just went in there. They're doing Night in the Woods. Basically what they'll do is they'll get together, they'll all play a game, and then they'll come back in like, 3 weeks or something and just chat about it for a couple of hours. And Marcus and Delroy, they like run the thing. They kind of keep it structured, and it was just like this great group of like raw, vulnerable discussion and just like amazing people. And I sat there and I realized like in all this time that I've been making content on the internet, like when you get so engrossed in this and you're kind of in this little world, like you don't often get a chance, like, because it's not recorded, it's not streamed, it's not for content, like it's just for the love of doing it. And there's something to that. Like I was just like, I can't remember the last time I just sat with friends and just chatted about a game for 2 hours. And it wasn't on a podcast or whatever, you know? And and it was just like really, really edifying. And I just got to know the people and the folks that would show up to that group, and they're amazing people, and just everybody comes just like ready to go there. It's like little therapy sessions. Like it's
Yeah.
just I love the backtrackers. It has been so important to me. I talk about them any chance I get because that's just an amazing group of guys.
Yeah, I absolutely love everyone over in the carpool gaming community as well. And I really do wish I could sort of join in more things, but I think they do it about 3 o'clock in the morning my time. So I'm like,
I was
ah,
about to say it'd be late for you.
yeah.
It'd be late for you. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a few things in like some communities I've sort of put myself in because I enjoy their content or I'm friends with them or whatever. But outside of Australia, like we're just such a complete flip of the time zones, so it's a little bit hard to get in
Yeah.
there. But I'd be all over that as well. I reckon just it's a great excuse just to try some brand new games that you might not try
Yeah.
otherwise. It gives you a little bit more incentive to get in there and maybe get some different perspectives of other people that have played the exact same game in the same time frame. I love the idea too. I think it would be great. I want to sort of implement something like that in our Discord, but we're way smaller than carpool gaming,
Oh,
so
sure.
it's a
Yeah.
little bit harder
Yeah.
to try and implement stuff like that. But no, that's a great one, man. Love it.
All credit to them, dude. It's so good. And like and it's one of those things, like you're exactly right. It's getting to play these games that wouldn't normally really be on my radar, getting to try these new experiences, and the system they have in place where like basically how it works is at the end of the session, a wheel is spun and somebody gets to choose, and like the more sessions you attend, the more chances you get. And then once you
Oh,
hit it, you're taken off the wheel, so you're not going to hit it like 2 weeks in a row and stuff like that. Um, and so the last time we met, I got to choose the game, and I chose Hypnospace Outlaw, which
mm.
is one of my favorite indie games. But I knew it was going to be very, very divisive, but I knew it was going to get amazing discussion. And sure enough, most of them hated it, but the discussion was amazing, and we got really great just conversation, and just got to talk about like what that era of the internet that game represents means to me and stuff, and just get to know each other better. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I love the backtrackers.
Very nice, very nice. So yeah, go and check out Carpool Gaming if you want to go and be a part of that
Yes.
in the Discord.
Yes.
I'm sure Sean or one of the guys will have a link somewhere for that. I don't-
Yeah, I think
bet
they,
you're not sure.
they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Yeah. They got it.
just break in, whether they want you or
Yeah,
not.
just bust on in. Say that Seth and Drew sent you. Bust on in there.
So I don't know. This week I haven't been playing too many games, to be honest. I've been jumping into a bit of Smash Brothers just in my free time, just to have some fun. I've been doing some. I don't know. I just been getting out some home run contests for some reason. I was watching a video from Kit and Krista on their YouTube channel, and they did a challenge where they were trying to do the home run contest.
Right.
I'm like, So I looked at my Switch. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to beat them, and I smashed their score pretty easily. So go Drew, yeah. But I noticed I got like 450. So I forgot what metric they used to measure in home run contests, but I got like 450, like a really insane thing I could not beat because with King Dedede. King Dedede is one of my favorite characters in that. I noticed in your Twitter bio
Dude,
you're a big Dedede
my
fan as
friend.
well.
My
You've got a
friend.
plush right there. Oh, you've
My
outranked
friend.
me. I don't have a King Dedede on
My
hold.
friend. My friend. My
You got
friend.
heaps of them.
I love me some King Dedede, my friend. That's my favorite Nintendo character. You said the magic words.
So in Smash, are you a Dedede main or
1000%.
1000%?
1000%.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Like that down B with the hammer is so satisfying. It's
Sick.
unbelievable.
I love not only that. I mean, he's just a really, and I normally hate slow characters, by the way. Like I do not like to use slow characters in most games, but that character is just so satisfying to play. Like something about the way it hits and connects, and like I love doing that, like that side B with the Gordo where he just like sends the Gordo out, and just like when that it's so good. Chef's kiss. Yeah, him and Banjo. Those are my two mains in Smash.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because in the home run contest, I sort of worked out a little strategy that you do like one side smash attack, then you do the Gordo. The Gordo sort of bounces off the sack while you're doing other attacks, and from there I just
My gosh.
try and do what I can do. But yeah, I couldn't beat my old score. Bloody past Ruby just was too good for me. Couldn't beat it.
He had the right stuff. Dedede is such an underrated character. I feel like people sleep
Mm.
on King Dedede. Look, don't get me started. We could be here all night just talking about King Dedede. I love love him.
I want to dive into it a little bit because it'd be a little bit of a
Sure.
tease, bit of a tease, not to go too far into it. But where did this originate? Were you just a big Kirby fan and coming against DDD was like, oh my god, who's this big bad boy? Or was it
Yeah,
Smash
I
Brothers?
think well, I've been a Kirby fan for a long time, and I think I've just always liked his vibe because like he's the bad guy, but not really. Like you can't take him too seriously, and he's like he's like the number one champion of being like possessed by some evil force or whatever. Like the only time DDD does something truly harmful and evil is because he's possessed by something else. And he's just like this kind of I just love his like he's a king and he's a ruler and he like is very food driven and stuff. So he's just kind of aloof. And I love his design. And I love that they're not afraid to go crazy with his design. Like they're not married to his design. I mean, Kirby's more or less always look the same. Meta Knight's more or less always look the same. DDD, you could have, your standard cute penguin DDD like you're kind of used to in Smash or whatever. But you could also have this kind of aggro, like no neck DDD that you see in Kirby 64 and in Forgotten Land and stuff like that. And it still reads like DDD. Like it all feels true to his character. And then like no spoilers for Forgotten Land or whatever, but there's a moment in Forgotten Land where I was like, wow, like he has a little bit of like a character, like a legit character moment
Mm.
towards the end of Forgotten Land. He actually like cares about his people. And I just love him. And I love like his theme, like the music associated with him. Um just a fantastic character. I've just always resonated with him.
No, that sounds. I love the backstory of that because for me it probably was Smash Brothers that I fell in love with him in Super
Yeah.
Smash Brothers Brawl when he first got introduced. And it wasn't probably until a couple of years into the game that I actually started like really enjoying using him. And in Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U, they upped the ante on the character. He always had Gordos because in Brawl it was hilarious how you just throw in like his minions. You're getting different ones each time, but if you're lucky, you'll
Yes.
get that Gordo. And then I remember in a direct when they were going over DDD's move set, and it was like, you always throw Gordos now. I'm like, oh my god.
So good.
Look out, Bryce, you bastard.
This is such a delight for me to get to sit here and talk about DDD. I love that like and they did such a great job with his moveset in Smash. I love that like that hammer spin that he does. And it's just like like
Oh yeah.
it's just like the most satisfying thing in the world, man. And like I love even there's a little bit of like kind of subtle well Kirby has a lot of like kind of deep lore bubbling under the surface of it anyway. And one of the reasons I love Forgotten Land is because it made like that weird Kirby lore come front facing. Like it took the subtext and it made it text,
Mm.
and I love that. But with DDD, there's like this kind of like weird fan servicey maybe I guess thing where like he's always voiced by the director of the series at the time. And I love that. Like that's such a subtle thing, and DDD doesn't even really have much of a voice, but they get the director of whoever the director of the series is at the time comes in and does DDD, and I just think that's great. Like the king, so to speak, of the series is the king in the game. So good.
Yeah. Maybe the development team's like, oh, this producer, he's such a bastard. I hate him. And so we'll make him the villain each time. I'm sick of being bossed
Maybe.
around by him. Maybe it's that
And
as well.
he just strikes this like this right balance of what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Team Rocket in the original like Pokemon series, like Jesse, James, and Meowth, where like they're trying so hard to do something bad. Like they really are trying, but you just can't because they're so goofy and lovable despite everything. And DDD has that vibe. Like he really, really does want to do something to stop Kirby or whatever, but he can't do it. He just can't do it. He's just too goofy, and you just can't take him. You can never take him 100% seriously. He's the best. He's the best.
Like if you were a villain and you come across Kirby, you're like, oh, can't do anything to you. You're just a little boy. Like, oh, or a little thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what.
Kirby's terrifying, dude. Kirby's like low key. I mean, like he's this weird like the lore on Kirby runs deep, and I didn't even realize how deep it was.
No, I didn't
Friend of
either
mine.
until Forgotten Land.
Oh
I'm like,
my
oh,
gosh.
yeah, that was a bit here.
It's intense, dude. It gets like intense. There are people who do like lore videos on like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and at the same time Kirby. Like no joke. Um yeah, and Kirby is just kind of like this all powerful like god. Like it's wild. Kirby is like low key terrifying.
I think you would be a good person to do some of those Kirby lore videos. You should do some because some of your
Oh,
videos going into the lore of like the Rex from Mario World and stuff. I think you'd be great at
yeah.
doing that if
I
you
love
feel
doing that.
interested in doing that. Yeah.
I love doing that stuff because I in my history, you know, I'm like a child of the internet and stuff like that, and I kind of came up in those early internet days. That time is very special to me. So like I cut my teeth writing like Mario fan fiction and things like that, and
Oh.
um yeah, and I know a lot of like just dumb obscure facts about like Mario enemies and characters and stuff like that, and I've got just this endless well of videos for that series I want to do behind enemy lines. I love doing that. If I could do like one thing in perpetuity, it would probably be that. Like if I could just do that, I would be happy. But it's just a part of what I do, sadly.
Yeah, because I imagine that'd take a fair bit of time too, getting that together and edited and recorded and
It does. Actually, the for all that stuff, the writing and the recording is super super quick for me. Like I'm also a musician, so like I think of the music and stuff as I'm writing the scripts, and like I can put all that together in a couple hours.
hmm.
But the actual editing, because I'm still learning it and like compiling all of the assets, especially for behind enemy lines, because I'm grabbing scans from this obscure Nintendo comic, or you know, I'm grabbing footage from, you know, the Super Mario World animated series, or you know, all this like stuff, this like Japan only Satellaview thing. You know, that's the laborious part. The writing's easy.
Hmm. No, no, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, so, big DDD fans here. You're definitely the big DDD fan. I'm just the fake
Man,
one who likes to play him in Smash Brothers and respects me in the games, but man, that's deep.
I super appreciate the opportunity to talk that. Look, I've been on many podcasts and Nintendo podcasts. Nobody has ever given me the chance to talk DDD. So I know, look, what a treat. What a treat. I'm so happy right now.
Do you reckon they knew better? Like, oh look, Seth's coming
Let's
on.
not get
Just
him started.
don't mention DDD for the love of God.
Let's not get him started. For the love of God, let's not get him. We'll be here all night.
So, have you been playing anything on Switch this week?
Xenoblade, Xenoblade Chronicles 3
Still digging
has
away at
been the
that?
big one.
Hmm.
Yeah. We Eric and I are trying to get that game finished somehow. Um and do like a review discussion on it for our show. It's just so big. I'm like 60 hours into it and I'm like halfway through it. Like it's nuts. It's nuts. Eric, that dude is like 130 hours into that game and he's
Oh
still not
wow.
finished it.
Yeah, nice.
It's
Okay.
wild. It's wild. So I'm chipping away at that, having a really good time with it. It's a phenomenal game. I was talking to Sean about this. I think it might be the best video game soundtrack ever composed. I really do think that. And I don't say that lightly. Like I am somebody who loves video game music. It's one of my great passions in life. And I'm just thinking about it as I'm playing that game. I'm like track for track, pound for pound. This is just it's easily top 3. If not the best, it's easily top 3. It's just so consistent over the course of this massive scale RPG. Every single track is incredible. Oh, it's that's my favorite part probably about it. It's so good.
Yeah,
So
nice. Yeah, I'll have to go and check it out because I decided not to play the game and it was pretty hard to say I'm not playing a Nintendo game. It felt weird, honestly, just sitting back
right.
and watching everyone else play it. But I just knew that I wasn't in the right place to play it. I need maybe a bit quieter time of year or something. if that
Sure.
exists. But yeah, because my co-host Bryce, he's a big fan of the series. He's played them all, pretty knowledgeable about it, and he has finished the game. I forgot how long it took him, but
Oh
he
man.
he went through it. I think I can't quite remember. It might have been 70 something hours or something.
Yeah.
And so our friend as well in our Discord community, Luke, he finished it in like 53 hours. He put it on easy and
Wow.
just I think ignored the side
Charge
quests
through it.
and yeah, so it
Yeah.
is doable, I think, but obviously you're missing out on a lot. So it's just whether you're comfortable missing out on a lot of that side content. But
Yeah.
by the time I get there, that might be what I'm doing too. I'll be playing it
That's my problem.
in 2030 probably. By the time I'm getting to
Yeah.
it.
That's my problem is I'm sitting there, I'm doing all the side missions, I'm like stopping and smelling all the roses. They do such a good
Yeah.
job of like littering the world with all these little collectibles. So I'm just like, ooh, shiny thing. And I'm just, next thing you know, I'm off on a track for, 30 minutes and
That's great though, because there's no rush. When are we going to get another Xenoblade
right.
Chronicles game? Like, just enjoy it. Like,
Yeah. And
yeah,
and
I
and Eric and I were talking about that because there's the sort of thought of like when you're a content creator, like, oh, we should get through this and that way
mhm.
we can have a. It's like, no, who cares? Like, we're not realistically the people who wanted to buy this game. We're not like sponsored by Nintendo or whatever. Like, we're not trying to
Yeah,
sell the game. So what's the rush? Like, it's just for the love of talking about it. So let's take our time. Let's marinate on it, and then when we get to it, we get to it. You know?
yeah, because even if you rush through it, do a spoiler discussion, majority of the
Right.
people still won't be there to listen to it because they're still
Right.
playing the game.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, and at that point, I think about that a lot. I'm like, for me, like I'm not about hitting I'm deadlines are not important to me. What's important to me is like providing good data to the audience, like making something that people actually want to listen to. And if I were to just like rush through it for the sake of being able to talk about it, make a video on it, whatever, then I don't know if I'm doing it for the right reasons. So that's
Mm.
where I'm at.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because like for me with Fire Emblem Warriors,
Yeah.
Three Hopes, I probably finished that like a month and a half after. Like I didn't rush through it. I sort of I put a lot of time into it the final week just so I made sure that I didn't drop off and never finish it because that's a problem I have. Where it's
Same.
like just
Same.
my backlog's just full of 3/4% or 3/4 finished games, which is a problem. Um,
Relatable.
yeah, so I just made sure I wanted to finish it, but don't have to finish it in a week. Everyone's already got their reviews up. It's the little boys can just play their games and talk about it when they're
It's
ready.
video games. It's video games. I try to say that so much. I'm like, at the end of the day, dude, it's video games. We're here to have fun. Play how you want to play. Who cares? It's just video games.
Mm,
So I try to
yeah.
keep sight of that. It's easy to, especially when you're a content creator, it's easy to get that FOMO or feel like you're,
Oh yeah.
not optimizing your content or whatever. But it's like it's at the end of the day, it's video games. Like we're supposed to have fun with them. That's why we do this ultimately. You know,
Mm. I was pretty close to cracking too, like talking about FOMO just with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm like, oh, just pick up a copy, have it for later.
right?
It's like no, digital download's gonna be there when I want to play it. I don't need to spend $80 right
It's not
now.
going anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll probably, and by the time you get to it, it'll probably be on sale. You know what I mean? And like you'll get it for cheaper. You'll have more time. You can do it more leisurely. It's like
be
it's
five
about having
dollars off.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, a whole
thanks
$5.
Nintendo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's the other thing
Yeah.
too. Like Nintendo's just trained us so well, where it's like, well, I might as well pick it up now because it won't go on sale. So, but
Yeah.
with other games, I know you're really excited for Sparks of Hope. For me,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit standoffish because I'm not a massive Ubisoft fan, so I don't want to support them full bore. And I
Sure,
know the
sure.
game will go on sale pretty soon anyway.
Totally. Thousand
So
percent.
so
1000%.
they've trained their audience to be like, well, I'll sit back. So it's interesting how different publishers have these different sort of takes on when what goes on sale because I think like say if you're picking up a PlayStation game, it takes a fair while to go on sale, but it will go down in price. But yeah, Nintendo's they know who we are. They know what we want.
Pretty rock solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're more than likely, and like I already too, my scope of interest is so wide. Like I want to play so many games. Um
Hmm.
there are very few genres that I'm like not interested in. It's very few and far between. If anything, I want to play too many games. and I have to like I have to cull it back. Like I have to be like, okay, like actively, dude. In September alone, there's like 7 or 8 games I want to play, and it's like at a certain point I have to just prioritize. Cool, I am playing Splatoon 3 and Monkey Island, and that is my September. That's it.
Yeah.
And the rest of it goes on the wish list.
Like October. I don't know what I'm going to do in
Yeah.
October. Probably play 10% of what I actually want to play, because Persona 5 has been on my backlog forever, but
Oh, yeah.
I can't really justify kicking my wife off the TV, but all right, I'm going to do some grinding in Persona. It's just that.
But on Switch,
But on Switch, I don't have to kick anyone off my Switch. I'm the dad in the
Yeah.
house, so I've got my own Switch. So,
Dad's
So,
got
yeah.
a Switch. I'm gonna do a few dungeons in Persona, and yeah.
so I'm not sure what the end of the year is going to look like. It might just be sticking with Persona, providing that it's hooking me. If it doesn't hook me, I'll probably just fall off of it. But there's Pokemon too. Oh, I'm in trouble. Is Pokemon going to just derail the Persona? That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
because yeah, the rest of the year, like it's not too crazy, like compared to some years. We've had a pretty quiet year relatively, but there's still a fair bit, and they're big games as well. Because for me, I'm keen to play Nier. I'm keen to play Persona, like those two ports that came out in 2017. I'm sure a lot of people have played them, but I haven't. And then then there's Pokemon, Splatoon. I'll probably end up playing just Splatoon, to be honest, just jumping into multiplayer matches, because that'll be
1000%.
like the easier thing to do. Just turn on that for an hour and you've had your fill. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, what are some games that you're really looking forward to coming out this year? I know, like Sparks of Hope. You did a video on that, and you mentioned that was one of your most excited ones.
Definitely is. Yeah, I love the first Mario Rabbids game, but I also really just love kind of like the people behind it. I think that's what really attracts me to it. Davide Suliani, and just like this delightful little like bromance he has with Grant Kirkhope, which is like he's one of my favorite composers of all time. Like I love their back and forth. I love their working relationship. And I think everybody kind of fell in love with Davide during that
Mhm.
E3, where they showed him the crowd. And it was just a beautiful moment of like, hey, like people make games, and he just really is a fan of this stuff. And it's also just like Mario Rabbids is just this magical project that like shouldn't exist. And like, I'm just like, I kind of love it for that. I kind of love that it's just this weird concoction that not only shouldn't exist, but shouldn't be half as good as it is, you know?
Definitely,
Like
yeah.
it makes no sense. It just like it makes no sense at all. So I love that series, and I'm definitely looking forward to Sparks of Hope. Bayonetta 3 is another one for me. I love the Bayonetta franchise. I've been waiting on that game for a long, long time, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, Pokemon, obviously, very excited for Pokemon. Um, I yeah, those are probably my three like big ones, and then Splatoon. Like Splatoon's going to be huge. That'll be in my rotation for quite a long time, I think.
Same. It's just so exciting, like getting back into it, because it's been a long time since I played Splatoon 2, and
Yeah.
was it late last year? I sort of wanted to give it a go again, but when I got my Switch OLED, that was the one game I forgot doesn't support cloud saves. So
Right.
I transferred my Animal Crossing, all my Pokemon games to my new save. I'm like, all right, cool. It's time to trade this bad boy in. And I'm like, wait a minute. Splatoon? Oh, no. Yeah, that's gone.
Yep.
That's
Same boat.
disappeared.
Same boat. Yep. And,
So
and what's awful about that is like now, because there's apparently some rewards you get in Splatoon 3. You and I
Yeah.
can get those rewards.
Yeah. I think
a bummer.
my ranking in Splatoon 2, I put time into it, but I was no awesome player, so I don't know
Sure.
what great. I was thinking though, is it worth just booting up Splatoon 2 and making a save file, then having whatever gifts you get from just having a save file come
Maybe.
over? That's something I
Yeah,
was thinking
maybe.
about.
'Cause Yeah, that's a good call. I might need to do that because to be honest with you, I wasn't really like super interested in having my rank carry over anyway. Because I was just
No.
like, oh my gosh, like don't pair me against people of this rank.
Oh, no.
I'm so rusty. Don't do that to me.
Don't, yeah,
You
that's
know?
right. It's the last thing I want. I want to
No,
be
I don't want to
paired
get paired
against
against that.
schmucks like me. I don't want to be paired
Right.
against the Wacko Jackos and the good players of the
Oh
world.
yeah. Oh, do me like Fortnite where they put you against bots for a while and you think you're just awesome, you know? It's like, oh
Yeah.
sick, I got a battle royale immediately, or whatever. And yeah, so but I didn't want that. But yeah, you're right. If I could just pop in there, get a save on my Switch real quick, and then that is a good call. I might need to do that. Yeah,
Because the,
yeah,
the
good
new
idea.
Amiibo too, they look so good. That was a that
I love
was
Amiibo.
that was such a quick pre-order for me. But they're really were they more expensive, that 3-pack over in the States? Because like here in Australia, they're $70, and typically a 3-pack was like 50
Holy
bucks.
moly.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now they're Nintendo. Yeah, like I said before, Nintendo. Who knows who they're selling to?
Yeah, yeah. I think I want to say they're 35 here. Well, and yeah, they
Oh
did
Jesus.
up the standard price of Amiibo.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. They because when Amiibo first came out, they were 12.99, and now they're 15.99. Um, and at least here in the States. And like, to be fair, they've improved the quality of Amiibo so much.
Oh
And
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I've been there since day one with Amiibo. I have a complete Amiibo collection. I love Amiibo.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Um, and it's something that I just like in those early days, like I was the dude there waiting for Target to open so I could get Jigglypuff, just like dumb stuff like that. I was just a total psycho about it. And now it's a lot more low key because they're just not releasing them in the same capacity that they used to. But yeah, they've definitely gone up in price, but they've gone up so much in quality too that like I really don't mind, and they just make me happy. Like just having those little nice like high, they could do nothing and I would still buy them. To be honest with you.
Oh yeah. I can't remember the last time I scanned something. I think I was talking about it last episode. I think it was Breath of the Wild. I literally scanned an amiibo to get all the cooking ingredients, but since
Right.
then, I can't remember doing it. I don't know if I've done it in Smash Brothers even, where it has pretty good compatibility. Like I just haven't
Yeah.
really had a reason to. But I just love the statues because more recently, like the limited editions with Fire Emblem Warriors, Three Hopes, and even Bayonetta coming out. I just honestly, I wish it was just the game and an amiibo with an art book.
Yeah.
I wish that was it, to be honest, because
Me
the
too.
whole statue thing, I think that's a great idea for other games, but usually they're a bit cheap and the faces look a bit wonky. I think just like a small amiibo is just kind of perfect, like nothing too
Yeah.
big or over expensive. Just yeah, just I quite enjoyed what they were doing in the Wii U days, where it was the game and amiibo, and that was kind of what you get, like the little yarn Yoshi. Oh, that was those.
So good.
That was
So
so.
good.
I was very tempted to pick up all the colors. It sounds like you have if you've got a complete collection,
I do.
and also
Yeah.
the big one as well. The big one was really
Mhm.
expensive here, so I'm like, oh, I can't. I
That
don't
one
want
was
to.
expensive here too. I think it was
Yeah,
40 or 45 here. Yeah.
I think it was about
Yeah.
60 or 70 here. I'm like, ah, I don't need it. Don't need
Can't
it.
justify that. Yeah. And it's funny too. I've been pretty fortunate. I've never like overpaid. There have been a couple of amiibo that I've had to import, like Japan exclusive amiibo and stuff, but I've been lucky to kind of get in on the ground floor with all of them. So like
Mm.
the QB amiibo from Box Boy is one of the
Oh
most
yeah,
expensive ones. And I got that for like $40. Like I just imported the game with the amiibo when it first came out and I just got it for a retail price.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
now even loose, now you're talking $300-$400.
Jesus.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
No, it's one of those things. Like if you want to pre-order something, you've just got to be knowledgeable when it's dropping, where it's dropping,
yeah,
and be there. And if you're on the pulse of like all the amiibo, where to be, but if you miss it, that's when it's hard to track down. When you've got to be looking secondhand, paying extra, or just like seeing if they're going to get restocks and ringing stores, and that's when it becomes more
totally.
complicated. But you got to keep on it and keep the bank account pushing out the cash for those delicious plastic. 'Cause,
Yeah, well, there are people that are like, "Oh, you're so lucky." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not lucky. I worked for them. I'm persistent,
yeah,
and I like drove myself crazy tracking these things down. And if you want them, it's like you can make that happen. I mean, I understand, like money, value, things like that. That's all subjective, right?
hmm
But in terms of like if you really want something, then it's like you can make that happen for yourself. If it's amiibo or anything else, it's just about your drive to get it done. So
Yeah, for me, I started off being like, I'm just gonna get the characters that I like. Super Smash Bros.
yeah,
Gonna get Mario and Pit, Link, and then very quickly I discovered, oh my god, I like a lot of Nintendo characters. I think I like them. I like them all. Shit.
hmm
And
yep,
then I'm down a rabbit hole, and I'm in Target. I'm thinking, oh, no, they've got those gold and silver Marios. I might see if they have them. And of course, they don't have them. You can't just walk into the store and get something like that. But I think, say, if they had fully stocked amiibo everywhere, I would have went down the rabbit hole so quickly and had a full collection. Like if it was just simple enough and it's like, oh, just little impulse buys here and there.
yeah,
Because I ended up with like a crate full of amiibo just from impulse buys when I go to like EB Games. Oh, look, they've got that one. Oh, I like that character. Cool. Oh yeah, Dark
I
Pit.
just love
Oh,
them.
I might as well get Dark Pit. I've
Yeah.
got Pit. They're friends. They're friends at the end of the game. We'll put them together. I was
Yeah,
like,
I just love they just make me happy. I just love having this little Nintendo, and and yeah, I'll probably most of them never scan them, but I just like opening them, taking them out of their box, looking at them, putting them on the shelf. Here, we're on video, so I don't know if you can see there behind
oh
me,
wow,
without messing
yeah.
up my camera too much. I have these shelves mounted on my wall that has got the vast majority of my amiibo on it. So,
Because
so yeah,
I was buying amiibo and I sort of ran out of room for them, so I just kept them in the box, and now I'm at the point now where it's like years later and they don't sell them anymore, so it's hard to take them out the box because they're like, oh,
right.
it looks so minty. It's like
Yeah, now it's all
it's,
valuable and whatnot. I set them free. I like having them loose. I like, pretending like I'm in, Smash Brothers 64 or Melee or whatever. You just have all those little trophies on your
yeah,
desk or whatever.
yeah, that like the trophy viewer when they're all on the desk, and now you can just tip them out all
I
onto your
love it.
desk and just do it yourself.
I love it. And I have extras too. Like I will literally for the characters like I have a DDD like on my shelf behind me, and then I have this one here for my little desk DDD shrine. Like I just keep it here because I just like looking at them. I just like having them there. It just makes me happy. If I'm having a long night editing or whatever, I look at my little DDDs, and you know what? Everything's gonna be all right.
I need to put some on my desk too. I feel like that's a good idea.
Just makes me happy.
It,
It's like simple stuff. Like I just keep dumb stuff around me that just make me happy. I keep this is the Cold Bloom. This is my Jeff Goldblum koozie from the Idle Thumbs podcast, which is the podcast that got me into podcasting.
mhm.
They're defunct now. They haven't been around for many years, but they sold this little piece of merchandise, just this little Jeff Goldblum koozie, and I just keep it around because it reminds me of them, and it kind of reminds me of where I came from. I like having these little trinkets around me.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I got like on my Pokemon 2DS or Pokemon New 2DS. I like
Oh yeah.
with like that button on it.
Oh, it's
Um,
so good, isn't it?
oh yeah, I saw it at PAX. And I was like, oh, I really want that, but it's one of those things because I try to be all right with my money. I'm pretty good at saving and all that, but when it comes to Nintendo stuff, I'm like, "Ugh, I'm not too good when it comes to that.
Time to get
But
reckless.
yeah, because like that Splatoon limited edition OLED. I'm like, oh, do I want to
Yeah.
spend $550 on it? No, but do I want it? Yes, but I haven't bit the bullet on it yet. So hopefully they go out of production soon enough, so I don't so
So
I
you don't
don't
have the
buy it.
temptation.
Yeah, I'm very close. It's just online shopping's no good. But this 2DS, it was on. They were getting rid of them on Amazon for $150, which is pretty good for here. That's about 100
Pretty
bucks
good,
off.
yeah.
Yeah, so I got this one and the Pikachu one. So I don't use the Pikachu one, but the Pokeball one, I love it so much. It's got like the pressable button on the top, and it's
So
nice.
cool.
Yeah, no.
So cool. I'm a sucker for that stuff, man. Limited edition Nintendo stuff, I'm a sucker for it. And I knew with Amiibo, I knew from minute one, the second they announced it, I was like, well, I'm gonna own every single one of those. Like I knew it. I'm a total mark. I knew it.
That's all right. As long as we can admit the people that we are, which is great. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that. That's awesome. I
No.
wish
Yeah, like what
looking
you
back, I wish I sort of was a bit more onto it. But how old was I then? I was only a couple of years out of high school. I had some saving to do yet. So.
Sure. Oh, I was way more frivolous with my money back then than I am now. Luckily, now that I'm tighter with my money, now Amiibo have slowed down blessedly.
Yeah, that's why you are tighter with your money, because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
thank God you can have
Amen
it.
to that.
You can breathe. Ooh.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, well, the second that happened, though, the much more expensive gaming habit kicked in, and now, there's too many video games that I want to buy. So,
Yeah, yeah. And there's going to be a Pokemon limited edition Switch Lite or something that's coming out this year too, I
gotta
assume.
be. Gotta
So, and I've got the other two. So now I am down that rabbit hole where whenever Pokemon like, oh look, here's a new Switch Lite. All right, where's the
be. You're
pre-order?
in it now.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah,
it.
you're in it now.
I can't miss out on one because especially that last one, the like the Diamond and Pearl themed one from that
Yeah,
was the same theme from the like the
from
DS Lite.
DS. So good.
As a kid, I always wanted that. I'm like, that is so cool. I want it so much. And when they announced that it was like the same one, I'm like, all right, I know who I am.
Done.
I'm there. Yeah.
Done. So sometimes though, you know what? And it's like these little things too, man. Like we don't get pleasures like that much in this life. You know what I mean? Like we really don't. Just like things where
Yeah,
it's like, you
yeah.
know what? Like this is actually really important to me. So like let me just have this. Like let me just focus in on this thing. This makes me happy. I love it. I understand it's frivolous. What who cares? It makes me happy, and happiness is a strong enough currency, man. Like
Oh,
let's just be
absolutely. Yeah.
happy. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always obviously talking about money and trying to be frivolous and whatever, but yeah,
Mhm.
it makes me so happy just owning like just this probably Switch Lite that I actually never use because I prefer the OLED screen, you know.
Totally.
but,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just it's great to have, and one day you can be like, yeah, they don't make them anymore. That's good.
Yeah. I have that now. Yeah, and just
Yeah.
I like looking at it. I like having it. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, no. So let's jump into the news. But before we do that, is there anything else you'd like to discuss game wise before we jump in?
Well, I know you haven't had a chance to play Splatoon 3 Splatfest yet, but
No,
so I won't get
unfortunately.
super deep into it. Only to say that it's really good, and I can't wait for Splatoon 3.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait.
Bring on
Either.
Splatoon 3.
Before we started, it was basically live in Australia for 45 minutes. So I've got
Right.
the rest of the day to play it.
Oh
But
yeah, you're gonna
how
have
long?
so much fun.
So you streamed it over on your Twitch channel, all in or
Yeah.
all in. So I guess as far as Splatoon goes, do you notice all the small changes, or you just like, oh, cool, Splatoon's back, type of thing?
For me, yeah, for me, it's Splatoon's back, and for me, it's also like I don't understand why. I've seen a lot of people being like, "Oh, it's just Splatoon 2.5," and I'm like, I mean, how different do you want your multiplayer centric game to be? You know
Mm.
what I mean? Because if they had changed a ton of stuff, people would whine about that too. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
so
definitely. Yeah, that's something I never got. Even when the
yeah,
conversation was around Splatoon 2, because like really think about it. Like put yourselves in the game designer's shoes. But all right, let's change this
right,
game. Do they have to change the art style to make it look different? Do they have to just not do turf war anymore and do a different type of mechanic to make the game play? Like I don't know what you're exactly after, and I can even relate to that with Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty, like
totally,
it's an excellent first person shooter, and like it's the same all the time. But for the people that enjoy that, that's great. They just sort of implement on it each year and just make it a bit better or a bit worse or whatever team's working on it that year. But
yeah.
so really, what more can you do to it? Like,
That's what I'm saying. I don't want them to mess with it too much. You know what I mean? Like for me, coming into Splatoon 3, I'm like, cool. I want an easier way to play with my friends because it was so weird and archaic in the old ones. I want to be able to do salmon run like whenever I want. No more of this
mm,
weird week on, week off junk. And and like little quality of life things like loadouts and stuff like that. And they've really checked all those boxes with Splatoon 3. Like all the things that I wanted out of Splatoon 3, I'm getting. So like I'm stoked. Like I am thrilled.
yeah, I'm the exact same boat. I think all of us were just thinking to ourselves, I hope we can just play with our friends a little bit easier. I hope we can
It's
just
so good.
send each
Yeah.
other an invite potentially, just small things like
It,
that.
it's yeah, and like doesn't that sound and it's dumb. And like we
Yeah.
do like we give Nintendo a little bit too much of a pass for sure because it shouldn't have taken them to Splatoon 3 to figure this out. But
Mm-mm.
it's just those weird Nintendo things, especially in the Wii U era. So I get it. But now that we're here, and I'm able to get into Splatoon 3, I've got a lobby. I can easily invite my friends. We can, hop into games together. It's none of this. Hey, I'm searching right now. Try to join. And even if you do manage to get in before I find other people, they might not even put us on the same team. Like that's all gone now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like that was, yeah. I was talking to my friend about this today, as I was streaming, and he had made I thought a really astute observation in like Splatoon has always stuff like that has always stymied its potential. Like now that we have stuff like this, Splatoon 3 is finally realizing the full potential of Splatoon. It's always been great. The core's always been great, but always these little barriers for no reason, and now they're gone. You know?
Yeah. Because if you're like a multiplayer centric gamer and you see Splatoon, you're like, oh, that looks great. I'm gonna pick up a Switch. Or like going from Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever to just what Nintendo does with their online games, it's honestly not up to par just as far as the rest of the industry goes. So hopefully Splatoon 3 is the step that we need. But the thing is, like you said, it's taken to this long, so it's taken a fair while, but it wasn't a sure thing that we're going to get it with Splatoon 3, and it still isn't.
Right.
We haven't got the full game yet. I think I've learned from Strikers, playing the demo. I'm like, oh, this is great. The mechanics are pretty
That's
sound.
fair.
But when we actually get the game, there's actually no more content in the game than there was the demo, apart from clubs. Oh,
Yeah.
well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because like I was on the show being like, oh, look, the mechanics are pretty good and the graphics aren't too bad and all that. But when the actual game came out itself, I was lucky enough to get a review copy for the game. But if you hand over your $80, so it wasn't up to par. So even with this demo, I'm going to be waiting for the full game to really make sure that my words are accurate to what the actual product is. But
sure,
yeah.
Yeah,
because there was a while there. I'm sure the audience knows. I couldn't help myself, but I was really burnt for a month or so after Strikers because I was so looking forward to that game, and it sort of just it hit me in the nuts. Honestly, it just came out of nowhere. Oh, the Strikers are football friends. Oh no!
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I was disappointed by it too. But you live and learn, I guess. Like for me, like the moral of that story is next time a new Mario sports games rolls around, I'm not going to get excited. I'm going to wait and see, because I'm sure it's going to follow the same formula because it works for them. Mario Strikers, I think, is the fastest selling Mario sports game, they were saying. So it works. Whatever they're doing, it's working for the mass audience. We might be disappointed by it, but it's resonating with some people, I guess. So it's like, fool me once, shame on you, and next time I'm gonna be a little bit more cautious.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think next time we're gonna sort of mainly ignore the sports game until it's out and say what we think.
Wait to hear it. Yeah, I agree. That's where I'm at with it too, man. But Splatoon 3, I'm very, very excited. And it's nice to just it's nice to be back. Like I didn't realize how much I missed Splatoon. It's nice to be back in this world and playing that game. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on it once you have a chance to play the Splatfest.
Yeah, my thoughts will probably be, I got killed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. That's certainly been in my experience too. So no worries.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's get into the news. We've got Sakurai's YouTube channel and a couple of other things to discuss, which I'm pretty excited about.
Woohoo! Yeah! Pika, pika! Is that all?
I fight for my friends.
Yahoo!
My body is still warm.
So, Seth, I'm sure you're aware, and I actually did listen to you discuss it on your show as well, but Sakurai has a brand new YouTube channel out on YouTube. It's got two, actually. It's got one in English and one in Japanese, which is great, because when I first heard this announcement, I'm like, oh, it's going to be another thing that I've got to get slow translations from and all that. But no, it's a fully translated English YouTube channel, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull this article from gamesindustry.biz, and the article reads, today, Super Smash Bros. Series game director Masahiro Sakurai has launched a YouTube channel dedicated to game design. The Masaru Sakurai on creating games video series will be available in Japanese and English. Quote, I want to try and help make games around the world a little more fun, he said. During the announcement video, he explained that his segments on game development will be 2 to 5 minutes long. Sakurai also said in the past that he'd been asked to speak about game creation at schools and conferences. However, he noted that these venues have limitations when it comes to the audiences they can reach. Quote, I should be able to reach more people than a lecture, a conference, or a book, Sakurai added. While he said that his videos will feature older games, he'll be able to speak about design documents and development builds from the Super Smash Bros. Series as well. When further explaining his purpose for creating the YouTube channel, Sakurai said, I think of it as an investment in the games industry. And that's the end of the article there. And it's sort of no surprise on this show. I'm just a massive Sakurai fan. I think his work on Super Smash Bros. And Kirby it's insane, and he's probably one of the developers from Nintendo we actually do see more a personality from as well, especially these days when it comes to the Smash presentations and everything we've seen in the past. Just it's amazing that we're going to be getting just almost daily content from him. It's incredible. And before we get into, I guess, the contents of the videos, because he's actually put out a fair few. He's probably like the one YouTube channel I've got that has that I've clicked the bell on. Typically, I don't click the bell because when YouTubers say, "All right, click the bell," I'm like, I'm not clicking that bell. It's like a reverse psychology. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm more than happy to subscribe and like, but the bell, that's one step too far. But I made sure I clicked the bell for old Sakurai here. So, just from that, man, what do you think of Sakurai having a brand new YouTube channel for us English boys?
I love it. I love it. Sakurai entering his YouTuber era. I love it, man. And they're so good. Like, they're so well done, well produced. Like,
It's insane, yeah.
oh, it's so good. And it's like, and I love, I mean, I'm literally just like, every time I think about it, it makes me kind of emotional. This idea of like this legendary game designer who has worked on these amazing properties. I mean, between Smash Brothers, which is like maybe the single Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, maybe the single greatest accomplishment in video game history. You know, his magnum opus. Like, it's wild that that game exists. I mean, what a miraculous game. And like, and then like coming off of that, he's passing on the knowledge of that and Kirby and his time like Kid Icarus Uprising, which is like another incredible game. And like he's passing on the stuff he's learned to people like us who are just interested in it, game designers, like independent designers and stuff who can't afford to go to any sort of class, who this information is invaluable to. And he's doing it for free. Like, he's not trying to make any money off of it. There's no monetization. He's like, I see this as an investment in the games industry. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like for me as well, obviously not a game developer or anything like that, but I think what really interests me about games when you break it down, you think about it as like, numbers and code and art assets, and rather than just like the overall artistic product. What really interests me is like the little design aspects, like this little change will affect this, and this is what actually, this is what makes a game fun. This is what gives you this feeling. This is, this is all the little things that game developers do, and that is what Sakurai is really honing in on. Which, in one of his first videos, he explains like the stop mechanic, and that was like a big thing. And like it's something that in the back of my head, like I know, but I don't know all the terms. I don't know like everything that's going on, because in Smash Ultimate, one of the big changes was like, all right, the last smash attack of the game, it goes boosh, and it just gives you that big impact as like your opponent goes flying off the edge. And it can also work that, your opponent doesn't die, they come back, but just there's that unsureness once it's also come off. And that was a thing in Smash Ultimate that was like a big sort of small change, but it completely changed the game, as well as like the scoreboard like flashing on the screen once your opponent dies on a one-on-one. And it makes you think about these little tiny implementations that game developers make in their games as they go from game to game. And I don't know, I am stoked about this. This is just like such a nerdy thing, which is what you expect from two Nintendo podcast hosts when it comes to this stuff.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to Nintendo, we don't see all that much, especially now. Like, we got Reggie's book. We didn't get much from Reggie when he was at Nintendo. You know, that makes a lot of sense. Iwata did the Iwata Ask, which was fantastic. We got sort of that was our look into Nintendo for a long time. But with Iwata gone and Miyamoto, he's not interested in the spotlight, so we don't see him on directs or anything now. It's very much just like their marketing arm talking to us now, where it's like, be excited for this, and we listen, we get excited for that. But when it comes to actual, like, who are the personalities, who's making the games we love, just all of these things. But Sakurai's sort of gone off on his own, and when I watched like the introduction video on his English channel, I'm like, he has got the production team for basically make his videos for Nintendo, but he's just paying them out of his own pocket, literally. He's running no ads or sponsors or anything like that. We're not getting like a I don't know, a Manscaped ad from Sakurai. That would be amazing.
Yes.
He either uses Manscaped every day, or he's just a hairless man on the face. So I can't tell.
He's just a vampire, really. That's what's going on there.
Look, if Manscaped, if you ever go and sponsor Sakurai, just think about us. We're hairy boys here.
Yeah, we're hairy boys. Look, I won't get rid of the beard, but I'll be like, yeah, Manscaped sponsored me, and I like trimmed the beard. You know, I can't get rid of it. I'll lose my powers if I get rid of it, but I'll trim it for Manscaped. Sure, why not?
I actually don't try to grow a beard. Mine just mine comes from not liking shaving. That's what happens with me. I don't know about you.
Oh, I hate shaving too. Yeah, I do too. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I also don't if I ever needed to like run away from the law, I would just shave my head and my beard. No one would ever recognize me. Not in a million years. So that would be my go-to. It's a good, escape plan if I ever need it.
There'll be if you do like a crime that's bad enough, you get caught, you get taken in, and the person that's got to recognize you amongst all the other thieves and people that look similar, they put all fake beards on you. It's like, it was that one.
It was him.
They recognize you.
It was him. It'd be like in GTA, like the wanted stars immediately get wiped the second I just like shave my head and cut the beard.
Just don't muck up after that, because then you cannot shave off nothing. So
yeah, I can't do that. I can't put it back on. Yeah, but how cool, man! I love this, and I love I love the insight. I love it for like people like us, but I think it's legitimately going to improve the games industry to have knowledge like this. Like you sort of alluded to, I completely agree. I think that a lot of this stuff within Nintendo left with Iwata, unfortunately. I think Iwata was a real he was that game developer first, and he really had a sense for the talent at the company. He really deeply cared about the people that worked at Nintendo. And that was so obvious in everything he did. And he took that time with he didn't have to do a Iwata Ask. I mean, you're talking about the president of a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, he's busy enough.
He's busy enough, and he took the time out to do like a pet project. Like that's and I'm sure Iwata asked, folks like you and I were reading it and watching it, but like I'm sure it didn't have like mass appeal. He's not getting millions of hits on Iwata Asks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he did it because he wanted to highlight these people that he truly cared about and wanted to get their insights, and kind of like people don't get to see this side of games. People don't get to know the people that make games. I mentioned Davide Soliani earlier. Like the people that make these games have things to say, and like they love this stuff. You don't do it if you don't love it, and there is something about getting to know the artist behind the painting and being like, here's my paints. Like, this is what I used, and this was my thought process when I was doing it. And this is why I did this thing versus that thing. Yeah, it's awesome. I love that he's doing this. And I'm there for every video. Like I'm with you. I never hit the bell. That's one of the only ones I've ever hit the bell on.
Yeah, because you alluded to it before, but like for actual game developers who are in the midst of making their game, whether it's by themselves or a small team, like just videos like this where it just sparks a little idea, but like, oh, that'll work great for my game, and they can implement it in. and that is invaluable. Like, imagine being able to like implement stuff from one of the greatest in the world. Like, it'd be insane.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, to be able to have that resource available completely for free. He was even like, he's like, I'm gonna keep these videos short so that even if they do try to put ads on them, they can't. It's like, it's stuff like that. I'm like, this is the most this is the most like, forward thinking idea that he could have done. And I think it's a really beautiful way to like, carry, because where do you go from here, really, after Smash Ultimate? And like, he's already sort of hinting he's working on other stuff, and he's not retiring whatsoever, but like, Smash Ultimate has got to be his magnum opus. Like, you can't get bigger than Smash Ultimate. Where do you
No.
go from here?
Mm.
So so it's really, I think this is a really kind of beautiful come down. Like, as he's got to be thinking about the end of his career. The man's like in his, I think, mid 50s at this point. Like, he's got to be thinking about retirement at some point. He's got to be kind of in the wind down phase. And I think this is a really beautiful way to spend those years. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, I hope we get this content for a lot longer, because it was he did sort of allude to his next step the day before he announced the YouTube channel, being like, this is the last Smash Brother picture I'll be posting. He's been doing daily uploads for years and years, since before the launch of Smash Ultimate, and it's a little bit sad. It's like at the end of an era, but next day I was like, oh, you're doing full videos. All right, no, that's better. Cool.
I'll take that.
Yeah, we'll
I
take
can
that.
live with
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah, so absolutely stoked. I think, look, anyone that's listening to this, you're nerdy enough to get enjoyment out of a bit of a lecture
Sure,
from Sakurai.
for sure. For
Surely.
sure. It's worth it.
Something that's not as nowhere near as exciting. It might be a little bit of a concern, especially if you're into maybe doing some illegal stuff with your Switch. Denuvo is selling a new product called the Nintendo Switch Emulator Protection, and I'm reading this from My Nintendo News. Denuvo and their products are not popular on PC for multiple reasons. For example, they don't actually stop piracy entirely, like they say it does, and the games that Denuvo DRM in it usually see issues with the game's technical performance. Unfortunately, it seems like the company is looking to expand their efforts to consoles. Their first target is the Nintendo Switch. The company has announced that the Nintendo Switch Emulator Protection product, which they claim will prevent Switch games from being pirated on PC. Denuvo has since confirmed that Nintendo is not involved with this, and that the DRM won't have online checks. The inclusion of online checks is another issue that has drawn some criticism of Denuvo. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. I've got no idea. Products on PC. The product seems to be mainly for third-party publishers to use, and not used for Nintendo's first-party games. Nevertheless, if you don't like Denuvo work before, you unlikely won't like it this time. And this is just something I thought was a little bit interesting, because at Gamescom they brought up that this will be coming to Nintendo Switch in some capacity. And on PC, it's just a bloody mess. I know that it completely ruins some games, just performance-wise on PC. I think it was Nier Automata. Actually, Bryce couldn't play it. I'm not sure if it used this exact protection, but there are some games where it just completely ruins it. Like if you're running a brand new graphics card or whatever, it just makes a mess of the game. So a little bit concerning this is coming to Switch, but it seems to be from demand from third-party publishers, because I've only been looking into this recently. I haven't been a part of the scene, and as far as brand new games go, or any games for that matter, I disagree a lot with emulating a brand new title on a current system that's accessible in stores or eShop or whatever.
I agree.
But Switch games are super easy to emulate on PC, including the Steam Deck. Flawless emulation for Switch games. So I think a lot of developers are actually pretty scared. So this could be a good thing if this is implemented in a way that doesn't take profits away from third parties, because we all know that third parties on Switch is extremely important. We've lived in multiple eras of Nintendo that did not have third party support. Mm-hmm. So this could be a good thing, but if it gets in the way of like playing your games offline or performance, because Switch only has so much performance anyway. So maybe something to be concerned about, but also maybe not. But there's a Switch emulator company or group or whatever. Don't know exactly what they're called. Jinx, I think it's pronounced. But they put a tweet saying regarding Genovo's announcement, we will continue development in an emulation platform for Switch, game preservation and enhancement, upon which customers may enjoy their games both now and beyond the life cycle of their console itself. So it seems like these developers are already on top of Genovo's announcement, which is fair enough. These guys are very quick reacting, but I
Yeah.
don't know if you've sort of looked much into the piracy scene on Nintendo Switch. I think a lot of people have the argument that they buy the game because a lot of people probably still do actually buy the title, but they want to play it in full HD or twice the amount of frame rate or whatever. And there is a little bit of merit to that, but at the same time, you've got to sort of twist your mindset a fair bit to to
Yeah.
justify it legally. Like fair enough morally, but legally it's just it's not really on the cards. But what's your sort of take on this? I don't know if you've looked into the emulator scene that much.
A little. It's very, very rare. I've only like truly emulated a couple of games ever in my life, and it has been for me. If I have a way to legally play it the way that it was intended, and I have a way to where it's like easily accessible, and you just have to buy it, like I'm gonna do that. But if it's something like, for example, Mother 3, where I have very little confidence in that ever coming over here,
Mm.
and even if I had a way to buy it legally and everything, it's not as if the developers are getting any of that money. Then I have no issue with that, and I like emulation for the sake of preservation. Um, but I think there's probably people who are like, okay, yeah, like I bought the game and I feel comfortable emulating it, having it in this full HD, whatever. It's all about your personal morality and the way that you like kind of view that. For me, I would be, I guess, okay with that line of thinking, but I'm also thinking about it from the perspective of, I kind of like games that have to work within limitation. Like I kind of like um the idea of a game that has to make the most out of what it has. Like I don't really need to play a game. It's like people now, when you throw up like a Nintendo 64 game, for example, and you put it up on a big nice HD flat screen, it doesn't look as good as it used to on a CRT, because those games were designed to be played that way. They were designed around limitation. And so I don't really have an interest in playing, this game or that game totally off the rails with like all the limitations removed. I personally, that's just how I am with it. For me, emulation is all about playing things that are either unavailable in any other capacity and I can't support the developers even if I wanted to, or like emulation for the sake of preservation. But otherwise, I don't really mess with it personally.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I'm more than happy to emulate like Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's not readily accessible, right?
yeah, and GameCube.
Yeah.
But for the rest, generally you can pick it up on like the Wii U eShop or Switch eShop or Switch
For
Online.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I really hope that Nintendo does implement sort of more ways to play GameCube games, Game Boy Advance games, maybe even Wii games on Switch somehow. Whether it is through re-releases or Switch Online, I would like to see it. But as far as what's going on at Switch at the moment, as far as like the piracy going, it's something to be pretty concerned about, honestly. As far as people just downloading games and having for free. There's even on the eShop, if you've got a hacked Switch, you can get access to the eShop and just download whatever you want without even going on your computer. Like it's pretty insane. And that was on the 3DS as well. But the 3DS was pretty much in the wind by the time that happened for Switch. But it's been around on the Switch for a while. So a little bit concerning, but maybe the new DRM will be good or bad. We will see when it's implemented, but little bit worried.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder how like widespread that is. I wonder how like like how many people are really doing that? You know, like I wonder how many people are really going that extra mile and doing all of that. Like because I knew people from the outside looking in also. Like the PSP was a great example of this, right? Where people would buy the PSP and it was so easy to hack and just load up with every Super Nintendo game ever. You know, like I used to work at GameStop years ago and I had a friend who just like that was his console of choice. But I mean, the argument could also be made they sold PSPs that way, you know?
Yeah.
So there's ins and outs to it. And I also wonder too, like, you know, out of the say 50 million copies that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now sold on the Nintendo Switch, like what percentage of that is people that emulated it on their Steam Deck or whatever? You know, even if 10,000 people did it, even if 10,000 people did, it really is kind of a drop in the bucket. And I wonder how much it hurts. I like even though I don't support it, I wonder how much it actually affects the bottom line, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess we'll find out, but I think like Nintendo's family audience, they're lucky in that respect because I don't
Yeah.
know. If you're a parent, you're not going to go and do all that. Back in the DS day, I know a lot of I know a lot of people that had a DS and an R4. And an R4 was a DS cartridge just with a micro SD card, and
Right.
you can
Yeah.
just load it with DS ROMs. I knew a few people like that, but when it comes to maybe emulation on the Switch, there's a little bit more to it. So whether a parent's going to sit down and hack it instead of just going to just a department store and buying Mario Kart and Smash and calling it a night.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like 90% of the Switch audience, if not more than 90% of the Switch audience, isn't really messing with it.
No.
So yeah, and to do it, you're gonna have to buy a Switch anyway, which is like the main thing they care about. You know, they're getting your sale one way or another, right?
Yeah, unless you just build the Switch from the ground up, then hack it. Then they got a problem.
You know what? You know what? If you're gonna build the Switch from the ground up, I think you've earned it at that point. Go pop off, King. You know?
Yeah, Nintendo's like, I'll tell you what, we might hire that bloke. He's pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm not mad anymore. I'm just impressed.
This is just a little short story, but I thought it might be interesting for the fashionistas here in Australia. But Nintendo has collaborated with Clark's Boots for some Pokemon shoes, which look pretty cool. So this is from Vooks, and they say, we've had Vans, we've had Converse, and now Clark's has some crossover shoes, boots with Pokemon. They were announced a little while ago, but are now up for pre-order in Australia. Both the black and yellow boots will set you back $270 Australian. Will be available the 30th of September. So they look pretty cool. My mouse pad has died, so it's a little bit harder to send you a link. I'll send you a link. See what you think of them. See if you would
Okay.
jump into them there, Seth. But they look pretty cool. They're I'm not like I like them, but I'm not sure if I would spend almost $300. I don't know if I'll spend almost $300 on any shoes, to be honest.
I'm not a big shoe guy. I mean, they look pretty nice. They look cozy. They almost moccasin vibes going on here. Yeah.
So they
I
got
like them.
They got like a Pokeball on the heel, etched in Pikachu. So they're not garish. They're like, oh look, there's little Drewy coming in his Pokemon shoes. They look actually pretty fancy.
with this light up Pokemon shoes or whatever. Yeah, I'm kind of into it. It wouldn't be for me, but I could see how people would be into this. It's pretty legit.
So what type of shoes do you rock when you're going for a nice meal out or something?
I'm just so basic when it comes to shoes and really just fashion in general. I spend like if I need to dress up, I've got a blazer, I've got a nice shirt, you know what I mean? I've got my nice pants or whatever. I've got like the odd vest or whatever. I've got a nice dress shoe. But it's nothing crazy. Like I don't really dress up often. 99% of the time I'm, t-shirt and I'm good to go. Usually not even with designs, just like this, just a normal black shirt. And I'm happy with that. I don't really think about fashion all that much. So I'm definitely not the expert.
When you say just a t-shirt, I just imagine Winnie the Pooh. Like literally just a
Yeah.
t-shirt.
Yeah, let me not do that. That would probably get me in trouble. Just literally just a t-shirt. Nah, just a t-shirt and some, right now it's hot, some, basketball shorts or something like that. And I don't get I don't know. I don't get super bogged down in fashion, nor do I really pay attention unless somebody is like really well dressed. I don't really think about other people's clothes that much. Like I just don't really I don't know, I'm just not that guy. Like every now and then I'm like, "Oh wow, like they're looking nice. They're looking sharp or whatever." But I'm not 9 times out of 10 I'm more like connected to the person and like their personality versus the way they look or the way they dress. So I don't really think about it, I guess. I don't know. I'm not the expert.
So if you see someone in these Clarks, you're not going to be blown away. As long as you're a nice person, that's all you
I
need.
probably wouldn't really even notice, to be honest. Like I can't recall the last time I took notice of somebody's shoes. But hey, I think they're cool though. Like I think they're cool. If I were somebody who was into shoes, I'd be all over that.
Moving on, we got Nintendo confirming that they won't be putting up the price of the Switch, at least just yet. So this is also from Vux.net. Earlier this week, an unprecedented move, Sony increased the price of the PlayStation 5 in several regions around the world, including Australia, and has got everyone a bit spooked. With the pressures of the global economy, eyes have turned to other companies, including Nintendo, to see what their move will be. Nintendo has already addressed this in June, with the company president Shintaro Furukawa addressing this at the annual general meeting. However, that was almost 3 months ago. So has anything changed? No, according to Nintendo, who via a statement to Eurogamer used Furukawa's comments from June again, and those are very bland comments, but at least we got it there. He's quoted for saying, as our president, Mr. Furukawa, stated on the at the 82nd annual general meeting of shareholders in June, while we cannot comment on pricing strategies, we currently do not have any plans to change the price of our hardware due to inflation or increased procurement costs in each country. We will determine our future pricing strategies through careful and continued deliberations. End quote. So look at that. We're not going to be paying any more for Switch. I'd imagine the margins for Switch are already pretty good. They never have had a price drop since launch. And the OLED has already gone up in price. So I think they're going okay. If they put up the price, that might be a little bit cheeky on Nintendo's behalf. But it's not out the realm of possibility. We've seen the PlayStation 5 go up in price. The Oculus Quest go up in price by $100 in the States, which is massive. So that's even a bigger increase here in the rest of the world. But I don't know. I think it's a shame that, it sucks that the PlayStation's gone up in price. But everything else is going up in price as well, including, fuel and everything needed to produce the console and to get it to, your doorstep as well. So it makes sense. It sucks, but at the same time, you don't really want to see PlayStation stop making games or make worse games because they got less budget. Just stuff like that. Not that I think Sony's hurting overall, but I think it's just a necessary thing, unfortunately. But it's good that we won't see it on the Nintendo side anytime soon. I think for the most part, we've all got Switches. They're probably listening to this, so unless you're just like, oh, well, I might get a Switch. Let's listen to a Nintendo podcast. But for the most part, we've already got one. But what do you think about this and just like, I guess, the state of tech companies putting up prices? Because it's a little bit unprecedented. I know that the PlayStation 4 went up in price in Canada around not long after launch, but I don't think I've ever seen it here in Australia, that's for sure.
Yeah. We live in an unprecedented time, right? I mean, the way the world is right now is, it's never been like this since I've been alive, and it's definitely a tough time economically, as you touched on. Like everything is going up. And I think another thing to keep in mind, well, two things really. First of all, Furukawa, if they were planning on increasing the price of the Switch, he wasn't going to announce it like that. He was going, oh, you know what? Since we're here talking about it, I guess I should go ahead and say yes. We're going to go ahead and raise the price. So if it is going to happen, he wouldn't have said it there. It would have been a separate communication or whatever. I don't think they will. I think you're right. I think they've already kept the the margins down for their products. I think Nintendo's always been pretty good about that. That's the thing. People can whine about Nintendo's power and their hardware capabilities all they want, but they're also always the cheapest console on market, and that's why. So because they're using outdated hardware, they're able to get a hold of things that other consoles can't. They're not worrying about putting in all this stuff that is scarce and hard to come by, even though Nintendo is bumping up against supply chain issues too. But no, I don't expect the price increase. Another thing I think to keep in mind is that gaming is a luxury, ultimately. It's an expensive hobby. I think pretty objectively by most people's measure of it. And it is a luxury, and it's unfortunate that Sony felt like they had to do this. It might not be considered the most consumer friendly move or whatever, but I also think that the people that make decisions like that know how the audience is going to react to it, and I don't think they make those decisions lightly. I don't think they choose a price increase. They know that people aren't going to be happy to pay more money for their system. So
Yep.
like they're I think aware of that. And I think that those decisions are probably made in a more measured way than people give them credit for. Far be it for me to like be the company man or whatever, but I do think that there's a little bit more nuance to it than just like, greedy Sony trying to get more money out of people in an economic crisis. They probably feel like they kind of had to, but is what it is. I feel bad for the people who were like wanting to get one, haven't been able to find one, and now if they do find one, it's going to be more expensive than it was. So
yeah, it's pretty tough. Yeah, and I think it was Sam Hay in our Discord. He was saying like, it's quite strange, but it's a reminder, because I think we've all sort of settled into this new reality. We're sort of just used to it all being sort of turned on its head, but every now and again it's like, the PlayStation's going up in price 2 years later. That is weird. Oh yeah, everything is a bit whacked. It still hasn't returned, and everything else is more expensive, and it sort of it makes sense, unfortunately. And Sony also knows they're going to be able to sell PlayStation 5s. The demand for that is beyond comprehension. It's just insane.
Totally.
So
well, yeah. And you know what? When I realized that everything was bad in terms of like prices going up and things like that, and this will be the most American thing I probably say on this podcast tonight, but when my wife and I had McDonald's the other day, and as far back as I can remember, shout out to Sean Capri, by the way, with McDonald's. Our buddy Sean Capri loves his McDonald's.
Sponsor the man.
When that is so wild. What an egregious. The lack of McDonald's Canada sponsorship, they need to be called out for that. Sponsor that man. I cannot have McDonald's without thinking of Sean Capri. But we go to McDonald's the other day, and for as long as I've been alive, the sodas, you can get a large soda from McDonald's for $1. It's always been that way. And even McDonald's has had to raise their price. Now the large soda is $1.59. And I'm like, truly the economy is bad. If McDonald's is having to raise their price, this multi-billion-dollar corporation is having to jack up the price of their sodas by 60%, things are in a bad way. So
that's the line too far. It's just they've crossed the line there, haven't they? That's not good enough. Especially, couldn't they just do a nice little roundup for you? Just make it $1.60.
I hate it. Oh, don't even started on that. The marketing side of it, $1.59 looks so much better than $1.60.
Yeah, well, at least you got all your amiibo now anyway. That's it.
That's
not paying extra.
My $15.99 amiibo, not my $16 amiibo.
Yeah. Next up, we got some information from Koei Tecmo. They're going to be at Tokyo Game Show, and I brought this up because they've got a couple of games, and this is just selfishly for me. I don't even know if the audience is going to care about it that much, but they're going to be showing off their next Atelier game for next year. And I know you like your JRPGs and stuff. I don't know if do you like the Atelier series from Koei Tecmo at all? Have you ever played it?
Never played one. Yeah, that's a big blank spot for me.
Yeah, for me, it's just a series I got into more recently, and earlier this year, Atelier Sophie 2 came out on Switch and PlayStation PC, and that's a game I've got to go back to. I think it's going to be my next game. Actually, I'm going to dive into, but I really enjoyed it, and the series has just had like a great step up since 2015 or so. It's pretty ordinary type of thing, but I think like the budget and the writing and everything has gotten a lot better. It's a lot less cringe because it's very much like a you run an atelier, you're crafting, you're doing all this stuff to go into battles, and it's very weeby, which I quite enjoy my weeby titles. All of the protagonists in the series have been female, and there are some instances where it's like, oh, that woman is showing too much boob. And as a dude, do I mind that? No, but would I play it in front of my parents? Also no. So, there is a fine line there that it walks. But I'm just interested to see what the next title is going to be, whether it's going to be a sequel or not. But as far as I guess Tokyo Game Show, that's coming up in September. Do you have any sort of series you're hoping for a sequel or anything like that? Or I know for like Gamescom we're talking about that, where it's just like it happens, it goes, cool, like nothing nothing like phenomenal happens, but it could be a similar thing like that for you. But for me, like the Japanese games are always a lot more interesting to me, and there's been a few times at Tokyo Game Show where this is a very niche game that I lose my shit about because I'm like, oh, it's actually happening.
Yeah, for me, it's always like, there'll be some, like, every now and then I'll just get this wild hair to play some, Japanese rhythm game or something like that. Or a really good example of a Japanese game recently we just got localized was the Crayon Shin-chan game that just got localized. And that was Japanese exclusive for, I think, over a year. And very, very happy to finally have that here in the States and everywhere else. So I couldn't really put my finger on like a series that I hope gets a sequel announced at TGS, but I always like going into TGS and like coming away with something that I wasn't aware of before or wasn't expecting before, and I come away with something to be excited about. Usually Square Enix is there with like something, like maybe we'll get a new like Kingdom Hearts trailer or something. I'm a big Kingdom Hearts guy. I'm in for the long haul on Kingdom Hearts. I'm, just take me where you're going to take me at this
Too
point.
deep now.
Yeah, I'm in too deep now. I just gotta, I gotta keep up with it. I've been there from the beginning through every convoluted path. Cool. Buckle up. You know what I mean? So maybe we'll see something like that. I don't know. But I usually come in with like basically no expectations and I come away with something,
It's a good place to be. That's where I've been the last few years too. Like there's been so many game shows just sort of mixed together, and I don't know, with everything that's going on. We'll talk about Gamescom pretty soon, but yeah, I've sort of just lost interest now a little bit as far as these showcases. I look up like a Polygon article or something like that and be like, oh, well, that looks interesting, click on the trailer and sort of move on. But it's only Nintendo Directs where I'll be there like live, or even like an Xbox showcase. I think they still do a good job too, but and PlayStation. It's just the main console manufacturers I think I'll pay attention to. But yeah, no, fair enough. I'm keen to see what happens though. I'm keen to see what this Atelier game is and other stuff from Koei Tecmo and other publishers. I think Square Enix have a lot of their stuff sort of laid out for the rest of the year. They've got a big year coming up. It's actually something I've been meaning to look up. Actually, there was that Nintendo Treehouse live stream of Splatoon and Harvestella from Square Enix as well. I was like, oh, Harvestella's there as well. Very keen to check that out, but I never did. I don't know if you went and watched that at all, or
it looks cool. I Harvestella's coming out at just the worst time.
It is
for me. Like I just can't. I already know I'm not going to play it at launch. I've resigned myself to that. It's coming out, I think, like the week before Pokemon. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But I do want to play it because it looks cool, and I think it's a neat idea. I like the idea of like, a lot of the sort of life sim, farming sim games are in the indie space, and I like the idea of like Square making one.
Oh yeah,
and like having this sort of almost like, Final Fantasy meets Stardew Valley vibe. I'm into it.
Yeah, and just like the crafting in it too. I'm like, it kind of reminds me of the Atelier series. Like you're going out, you're getting your everything you need to come back and make your potions, make your weapons, and all that. I quite like that loop. So yeah, it's definitely one on my radar. So like, do I fit it in between Persona and Pokemon? Nier?
Yeah.
There's a lot. God of War,
Oh my
even of
gosh, yeah.
like Sonic. There's a fair bit. There's a
Yeah.
lot.
There's too much, man. I have never been so overwhelmed with games in my life, I don't think.
Mm.
Genuinely.
And it's hard too because that's like a super busy time of year when I don't have all that much energy at night time or in the evenings to be
Yeah.
playing stuff. So I
I
might
can
not play anything
imagine.
yet. I'm not sure. Yeah, because I'm like that time of year. I'm a sheep shearer, so when I get
Yeah.
home, it's very much like shower, go to bed. But now this
Worn
year I've
out by
got
the end of the day.
and I've
Yeah.
also got to juggle my son as well. So I'm really
Oh
actually
yeah.
not looking forward to it. I'm actually quite worried about how I'm going to handle it, but we'll find out next episode.
Dragon Ball Z.
That was great too. Have you watched that movie?
I haven't yet.
Superheroes.
You know what? It's funny. I respect Dragon Ball quite a bit. I'm not a big Dragon Ball fan. Um, I respect it and I like it, but I'm not like all my friends growing up were obsessed with it, and
Mm.
I just never really got on the train for Dragon Ball. But I do want to watch the new one. It looks fun, and I like the animation.
I was never on the sort of the train for Dragon Ball Z either. Like
Yeah.
very much like you respected it, but never. I never had access to it actually. I never watched
Mm.
it. But what I have watched, I'm like, this is pretty cool. So just for something to do, I said to Bryce, "Hey, look, I'll take you to the movies for your birthday, and we'll go and watch Dragon Ball." And I had no context. Bryce is a big Dragon Ball Z fan, so he got a fair bit out of it. But I enjoyed it just for what it was. It was just like it was almost like a Marvel movie, really. Just go and watch it. They versed the bad guy at the end. It was good. The characters are
Yeah.
great. That's all I needed.
That's
I ate a jumbo popcorn. I felt very sick the next day.
Oh, I'm right there with you, man. I can't go off the handle the way I used to. When I was when I was
Oh, yeah.
young, jumbo popcorn, junior mints, large root beer or something. I can't do that anymore. I'll be in bed
Yeah.
the next day. I can't do it.
I am just reaching that point now because last time I went, I was very proud of this story. I took my then girlfriend out for like a nice steak meal. I got a kilo of steak. I had a entree, a pudding for dessert. Took it to the movies afterwards. Had a jumbo popcorn, large Coke, and I smashed it. Didn't feel sick at all. And last time I went to the cinema, I got a jumbo popcorn, large Coke, and a packet of Maltesers. I just love that rotation of chocolatey and salty, and it's fantastic.
Sure.
But I felt a bit sick afterwards. I'm like, oh no, what's going on here, Drew? Your belly's not what it used to. And last week, going to watch Dragon Ball Z, just had a large popcorn. Didn't finish the large popcorn. I was fighting for my life the next day. I tell you that it wasn't good. So 28. I'm like, all right, it's downhill from here. It's not even. I thought I at least had 2 years. Like when I'm 30, you're like, come on, give me 2 more years of being able to abuse my body. Come on.
Yeah. Definitely once you get over that hill of 30s, it definitely kind of is all downhill from there. That was really, I can't handle spicy food the way I used to. Dairy isn't as kind to me as it used to be. I can't just, crush a jumbo popcorn anymore. It doesn't work out. Just doesn't work out.
Yeah. Oh well, maybe it's the wake up call I need. But will I listen to it? I don't think I will.
No,
we
can't.
I think I'll ignore it until it's too late.
Is popcorn still going to taste good? Yeah, it is.
All right, so this is the last story, and this is just a bit of a culture, I guess, from Nintendo community, but this is from My Nintendo Life, and the title is Nintendo confirms that Splatoon 3's Shiva identifies as female. And this was a sort of speculation, I guess, when the Splatoon Direct came out, and this character was confirmed. There's a lot of speculation that it might be a non-binary character. Nintendo has since came out and confirmed that the character is indeed female, but I know you've had some video essays on your channel about non-binary characters potentially in the Pokemon series with Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, and I'd just like to get your take on, I guess this the story and what the community was sort of talking about when it comes to non-binary characters in Splatoon, because I think for the most part, the series has been based upon like, do you choose the boy Inkling or the girl Inkling? And then a lot of the other characters, they're just, they're just, they're just strange. It's kind of like Star Wars, where you don't really think
Sure.
about what race they are or what gender, because they're just like elephant people, or it's like
Right,
it's kind of beyond that. But yeah, I'd just like to get your take on what you think of this.
Yeah, I think that so yeah, what you're alluding to earlier, I made this video essay about basically the possibility of like inclusivity in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, kind of throwing out there like, hey, using these characters that were revealed, Grusha and Penny, as a way to illustrate, queer coding and kind of explain what that concept is, educate people on what that concept is, kind of be like, hey, this is why I think this character could potentially signal trans inclusivity, non-binary inclusivity, or whatever. I've been making content on the internet for like 15 plus years, and making that video is the first time I've ever dealt with like actual harassment on the internet.
Oh, really?
It was really, really bad.
Oh, Jesus.
I wound up having to disable comments on the video. I had people that like, I had one person who went through and disliked all of my other videos. Because it used to be, I could see it was 100% like ratio, but now it's like 99% or something. So somebody was so angry at me for daring to say that maybe Pokemon can mean something, maybe possibly, to a trans person to make them feel included. That got me raked through the coals. And even now, people will still go to other videos and comment in reference to that video. It's wild. It's wild. And it's still, the people were mostly positive on the video, but I just, it was one of those like sobering realizations of like, just like how I thought that the culture, I thought that the Nintendo community, the gaming community, was more progressive than it is. Like I thought we were beyond that. Like I thought we were ready to have conversations like this. I thought we were ready to be more inclusive than evidently we are. And that was really sobering and really heartbreaking, actually. That was a very bad week for my mental health. Because I was making something that I wanted to be important to not only trans people in my personal life, but I wanted it to kind of be this thing, this like, hey, maybe there's a way, maybe there's hope for, even if Nintendo never says it, I do not expect these characters to be canonically trans. But if there is a single trans person out there that can look at these characters or these moments in the game or whatever and be like, hey, I feel seen. Like, hey, I feel represented in this world for the first time ever. Then isn't that worth it? Like, even if we never have to come out and explicitly say it, isn't it worth it to have that ambiguity, to have that possibility? That was all I was trying to say with that video. And likewise, for example, I think the website that really got raked through the coals for the Shiver thing was like Nintendo Life, Game Explain. They were saying like, hey, like maybe Shiver is non-binary because Nintendo has never explicitly used any gendered terms when referring to her. And similarly, they got raked through the coals because you get accused of being go woke, go broke. You get accused of being like exclusionary to people who fall outside of that. But for me, I'm like, just leave the possibility in the air, because it doesn't matter to like a cis straight white guy like me. Like it doesn't affect me one way or the other, but it matters deeply to people who do look for this stuff, who have never felt represented or seen in these games before, to be able to latch on to a character like Shiver, even if she isn't non-binary. Like if that can mean something to even one non-binary person who like for once feels included in the video game they're playing, is that not worth it? Like, why do we have to take that away? That's what bummed me out about the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I'm really sad to hear that people jumped onto you for that video.
Awful.
That's sad,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, because like for me, gaming is just all about like, you're playing Super Smash Bros. You got a controller left. Hey man, like you look around, you see someone's watching. Hey man, jump on. Like it's all about just including one another. And when it comes to like this type of stuff, it's hard for me to talk because I actually don't have anyone in my life that is openly trans or anything like that. So I try to relate as well as I can. And I know if somebody comes up to me and says like, if someone calls me a her or a she, I'm like, oh, that's not me. I'm a he him, like, for example.
Right.
And
Right.
and some people might say, well, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter to them. So you always got to try and do the best you can. And I know through games, I like playing as female characters, like in Pokemon. I like
Me
playing as
too.
in male games in other games. Like I sort of just jump between whatever I want to do. And even as someone in my shoes, having a character that's non-binary, that sounds like a fun sort of character to play as or have in the game, regardless of if you're getting into social politics or anything like that. I think it's just interesting. But Nintendo's sort of you know has made it so she is a female character, and that's fine too. But just having that
Yeah.
conversation, there's no harm in bringing it up and sort of putting the spotlight on a portion of the community that would like to have that conversation and would like to be understood a bit more, because at the end of the day, like we all come together because we love games. People listening to the show, you and I, Seth, are talking because we love Nintendo and obviously podcasting and all that. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So when someone like yourself or Nintendo Life or these bigger sites get shut down because they're just bringing it up, I think it's just not on. Like it's sad, but I thought I'd just bring this up because it was a topic over the last week or so, and I think it was a conversation worth having. And like you did with Pokemon as well, like in Pokemon Sword and Shield, there was a character. I forgot how you pronounce the name. Was it Bade or Bede or Bay?
Yeah.
There
Beat
was
or
conversation. Yeah, there's conversation around that too, and they ultimately become like the fairy type gym leader, and they do
Right.
like a big transformation in their personality and character and the type that they use, and also like the clothes and stuff they wore. You could sort of go either way on that, and they could have been an interesting place as well. But there's also the conversation where Pokemon, the story is never in that in depth anyway. So are they going to push those I guess types of themes as well? It's a little bit unsure, but it was interesting to bring up anyway. Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
sad. I'm sad that I wasn't aware that you'll pretty much right through the coals on that one.
It was
sucks.
really bad. Yeah, I've
Mm.
never had an experience like that on the internet before. Just like the things people were saying were just awful. And and most of them I'm sure didn't even watch the video. They just looked at the thumbnail or whatever and
Mm.
like, oh, look at this white guy being woke or whatever. And I think that's what a lot of it. I think people are just really angry. Like I think people are just angry and they have an axe to grind about literally everything, and they just they want to take something away. And I think that's really unfortunate. And it was just one of those sobering realities. I was like, I thought we were better than this. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely thought we were better than this. And it was, I'm not going to stop making content like that. If I feel like I have something to say in that space again, I'm not going to not say it. Because ultimately it did still mean a lot to the people I was speaking with. Like I had people who went out of their way to find me on Twitter, DM me and be like, man, like that, I really appreciated that video and whatever. And that was, made it almost worth all of the harassment. But, but even if these games, even if Splatoon 3, even if Pokemon never say it out loud, the fact that there's a conversation to be had at all can be very, very important to somebody when it could be something completely innocuous to you or I,
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think, and for the most part, you don't particularly want it to stand out either. You want it to be like, yeah, it's just normal. It's kind of like
Just normal.
I
Yeah.
remember, like someone discussing Star Wars. Like when you're watching, I brought it up this earlier as well, but you're watching Star Wars, you're not thinking about like race or whatever. It's just everyone's in space, everything's weird and wacky, and love and life. But it shouldn't be all that different, in the real world either. Everyone should just sort of at least respect each other and leave each other alone if you're really thinking pretty negatively. But yeah,
Yeah.
no,
This life is too hard to go through without people, especially people like that who have to go through struggles where, they're not accepted in society and in their leisure activity in the, you and I can unwind with playing a game or whatever, and we aren't affected by things like that, but they're having to, play these games and try to escape to these worlds and find that little bit of release from the struggles of the real world and also not see themselves represented in there either. So it's just rough. And like, I think even having the possibility is a step in the right direction. And I think it's really, really unfortunate that people feel like they have to take that possibility away and feel like they have to push their own narrative or accuse people of trying to get clicks or, or whatever the case may be. It was really deeply sad.
Oh, well, I hope you find the positive part of the community that's not like that for future video releases. Yeah. No.
Yeah. The people I made it for liked it, and that ultimately is good enough for me.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, just keep doing what you believe in. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Random people on YouTube, it seems to be a pretty negative place for some people like to go and dwell in. I've never been a YouTube commenter or really anything commenter. Really, I sort of if I watch something and I don't like it, well, no, I didn't like that much. My attention span's so short. I'm probably already on to the next thing if I didn't like it anyway. So I don't have time.
Because you're a normal, well-adjusted person who isn't angry on the internet all day.
I don't have time to be like, oh, I really don't like this inclusive bullshit. I don't want anyone included. I don't have time for that.
I had a guy comment like, I shouldn't have to worry about my 8-year-old son coming home and playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and asking me what trans is. This is disgusting that you would put this on the internet, and I hope you're wrong about these characters and blah, blah, blah. It was comments like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your son's going to come home and he's going to play Pokemon. He's going to be completely unaware of what's going on because I dare say they're not going to be like, this is the trans type, where it's like, it's not going to be like in your face. It's going to be like this character. Yeah, you sort of look at them and that's a person, and they say some funny dialogue, and they've got a Pikachu and it evolves into the new form, and that's pretty cool. And I think that's as far as it will go, as far as a kid goes. Yeah. And I think that's just important in normalizing it, a bit, where it isn't just in your face. Because anything in your face, whether it's positive or negative, it's kind of like, well, calm down. I'm here for something else. But if you want it to just be normalized, I think Pokemon's doing it in a decent way, whether they're aiming for it or not.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
start somewhere for sure. And it's and I even say I end the video saying that. Like I'm sure this isn't going to be some front facing thing, but the fact that we even have the possibility is what's important. The fact that the possibility is even out there at all. The fact that a trans person could potentially latch onto these characters is what's important.
Yeah, Nintendo games are great, family friendly. Just include more people. And I think Nintendo's had a bit of a struggle with that in more recent times, like Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu. Like if you don't have access to like all your arms and your hands, you can't play that game. You can't throw the Pokeball, you can't aim. And typically that's a series that you only need an A, B, and a D-pad for. So I think some of the teams, whether it's Game Freak or at Nintendo, there's some things they need to work out, whether it's just physically or maybe culturally, but I think they're on the right path anyway, for the most part. But let's move on to Gamescom. This is the last sort of story I want to wrap up on. There's a lot of stuff at Gamescom, and a lot of it was non-Switch related, but I'd like just to sort of get some of your takes on some games you might be excited for that have come out of Gamescom. Because personally for me, like it's here in Australia and over in Germany, completely different time zones. So I watched a little bit while I was up with Lucas, like at 4:00 in the morning, and I didn't really say anything that I enjoyed that much, but a little bit of a surprise. I'm just going through a bit of a list now. Probably the thing that stood out to me most was Moving Out 2. This is an Australian-made game, so I was pretty excited to see that, and it's pretty cool that they're taking like the next big step, which is basically like cross-play across all devices. You got your account, and it's just taken that big step forward that say like Fall Guys and a lot of these sort of online party games are taken. So that's one that I'm kind of excited for. Another one is probably near top of my list, and it's kind of weird to say this. I know you've it feels similar. But Sonic Frontiers, actually pretty excited for Sonic Frontiers. I think it looks pretty
Me
good,
too.
but I'm so standoffish because like Sonic Forces in 2017, that was just disaster. And it always goes on sale for about $15, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is it worth $15? I go and check out a review. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not even worth $15, and that's sad. So I'm just hoping that Sonic Frontiers is at least like, as far as reviews go, gets like a 7. It's good. You'll get
Sure.
fun out of it. Like thumbs up, at least. Like, please, at least be that. I've got pretty low expectations. I just want it to be just a fun game where it's like, oh, look, what's over there? Run over there as Sonic, do some grinding, and that's it.
I think it
Like,
looks great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hope it's at least
I think
that.
it looks
But
fun.
yeah. So yeah, do you reckon you'll get it on Switch or do you reckon you'll get it elsewhere? Personally, I'm thinking like PlayStation 5 for my
Yeah,
purchase.
it'll certainly run better on PS5. Although I will say, when we saw it at that, I think it was at the partner showcase we got in
Yeah, yeah.
late June, and we saw Switch gameplay. I was like, oh wow, like it actually looks like it's running like better than I expected on Switch. And I kind of like getting these kind of like ports, these like AAA kind of ports or whatever, and just seeing how the Switch version is. So I'll play it on Switch. Um, yeah, I think it looks great. Like, I think it looks really fun. I'm not like some dyed in the wool Sonic fan. I've played a lot of them, but I actually find myself liking a lot of the Sonic games that a lot of people don't like. Um,
Okay. Yep.
like some of my favorite Sonic games, like I loved Sonic Chronicles on DS. Like I thought that game
Oh
was
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. BioWare
I had
game.
a great time with that. I even like Sonic Boom more than most people. Like people really dunk on Sonic Boom, and I actually thought it's a non-traditional Sonic game for sure. And people want like that kind of classic Sonic gameplay, and Sonic Boom just ain't it. Um, but it did like really great character work, which is why like the animated series is so beloved, because the
Yeah.
stuff they did with the characters was awesome. And I actually thought it was fairly successful in that regard. Even Sonic Forces, like here's the thing, like that game's not for me, but like my nephews love Sonic Forces. Like the idea that you can go in and make your own original character in this universe, how huge is that for kids who play these games and they want to put themselves in that universe? Like they love that. They got to make their own custom character, and it's like this little bird person who can like double jump and fly in the air and stuff, and like that's awesome for them, you know. So I think Sonic is kind of find like the audience that it really wants to appeal to. Sonic Frontiers, and I'm like, I'm going in with low expectations. I'm going in thinking it looks fun. I'm like, I like seeing Sonic in like weird situations, like Sonic in the Black Knight and stuff like that, like Sonic in a medieval fantasy. You know, like I like seeing Sonic in these dumb like photoreal environments with like Kingdom Hearts style music. I'm kind of into it. So I don't know. I'm going in with low expectations, and I'm just trying to have fun, and I think it looks fun. That's really all I need, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, because like the idea of just running, like just the pure idea of Sonic in a big open space running around,
Yeah.
sounds like fun. Like it
Just
honestly
fun.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I
in.
just hope they get it right. I just I really do. I probably would pre-order the title honestly, but I'm just not that confident just yet.
Sure.
But yeah, they didn't earn it the last game, so we'll see how they go.
Hey, even if it's bad, I'll stream it and I'll have fun with it, even if it's bad. Like it'll be fun to like play and watch, even, you know. So I'm just kind of along for the ride, man. I'm here for it.
Probably one of my most excited sort of announcements from Gamescom was Hideo Kojima's new podcast he announced. So this is such a weird sort of announcement, and this is one I saw live, and only Kojima is the one who could get away with at a games showcase being like, "Hey, I got a new podcast coming out next month on Spotify." I thought it was interesting, and it's sort of this was before Sakurai announced his YouTube channel, but I thought it was it's pretty cool. He's got an English version and the Japanese version. And I am sort of wondering how well it's going to translate into like English. Because with Sakurai, it's just him
Yeah.
talking, but they put subtitles. But with a podcast, they're going to have a translator just translating his whole podcast. And how will that come across them? Like, will it come across very natural, or will it just be a translator in your ear for the whole time? But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting just to get another perspective from the Japanese video game development, and Kojima, obviously a legend in the industry, so it'd be pretty cool. I'm keen to check it out, but of course,
Same.
yeah, only Kojima could get away with this. Because if it was someone else, I was just like trying to think of just any other director or producer in the games industry. Like, well, what are you doing here? We don't care about your Spotify thing, even if we really enjoy it and we will check it out. But at this place, I don't know. But it was funny anyway.
I thought it was cool. I'm gonna at least check it out, see how. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it's gonna translate. And just like we were saying with Sakurai, I really love the idea of these legendary game designers like talking to fans in that way and sharing their knowledge and their experience. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to checking it out.
I guess also just other non-gaming related things. We got a Pokemon car. We got Pokemon Crossing the Mini, which it looks cool. It looks very futuristic. It's got like a big, like that big, screen on like the dashboard where Pikachu like lights up and the Thunderbolt strikes out. Looks pretty cool. But also, why is this here? Like, this was the announcement. Like, I like Pokemon. The Mini's cool, I guess.
But why?
I wouldn't want one, but why? Why? I think Jeff Keighley's getting a nice bag from someone. That's fine, but
That's what it is. Yeah.
It's also like the only talking point like we've got for a Nintendo podcast, being like, there's a Pokemon car.
There's a Pokemon car. And by the way, Mini Aceman is apparently they say they're as iconic a brand as Pokemon. So that was news to me.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think you're as iconic as Pokemon,
yeah.
Yeah.
Look. No, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. There's probably somebody out here listening to this is like, what are you talking about? I love the Mini, Aceman or whatever. But yeah, man, it is unfortunate that's like one of the few Nintendo related talking points from the entire thing.
Another non-Nintendo game, but High on Life, which is coming to Xbox Game Pass on December 13th. This little gameplay trailer, it wasn't a trailer, it was just straight gameplay of a boss battle in the game. And I'm pretty sold on this game because I'll get it on Game Pass and I'll play it that way. So I'm pretty excited about it. And we were talking about Sakurai earlier with Kid Icarus. One thing I really loved about Kid Icarus Uprising is just, and some people hate this, but I loved it. It's just like the characters are always talking back and forth. The whole game is just characters developing every second of that game, which I really liked. And this seems to be that. Like, you got a gun that's talking to you. And there was a snippet that IGN showed that you're aiming towards this little alien boy, and the boy's like, you can't shoot me, shoot me, and then like you basically shoot him, and the gun just reacts. I'm like, oh my god, we just shot him up. It's just really funny. But in this gameplay snippet, your other arm, like your left hand, gets out this grappling hook, which is also like a dagger. And the dagger's like this, like crazy, like, let me stab him, let me cut off his asshole, eat it. Or it just that line just it really tickled me. Something fierce. I know some people might not be such crude humor, but I love the crude humor. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So it made me a little bit more excited for this game. Just the whole let me cut off their asshole and eat it. I'm like, holy shit.
It was pretty vulgar, man. It was pretty intense. And I like, and I like Rick and Morty and stuff like that. Like I'm a fan overall of Justin Roiland's stuff. I do feel like this one, my take on it when I was watching this, he has this like penchant for just like kind of like repeating, like kind of really beating the dead horse of the dialogue sometime. Like, we just shot a guy. He's dead now. That we did that. He's dead. He's really dead. And he just like going in, and like he does that a lot. And like the knife was doing that too. That to me is like a little bit grating, but I do kind of like how it like reminds me of like the old Oddworld games. Like everything just looks like plastic and prosthetic and gross. Like it just kind of has that vibe to it. I'm kind of into the style of it. It looks kind of old school in its design, like first person shooter where you're swinging around and shooting a boss. Like I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, so I'm keen to check that out. I've never been like a fan of Rick and Morty or whatever. I've watched like 2 episodes, so I really don't have any like past work to go on. But I think that line in particular, just for some reason, like, I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty. I don't know, it made me laugh. But if I play the actual game, it might get old pretty quick. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Might be
I'm
like
glad you're so positive on it. A lot of people came away from that like being turned off by the game, so I'm glad you're so
I
positive
did
on
hear
it.
that. Yeah, I think a lot of people have
Yeah.
been sort of watching a lot of these showcases, and they've seen it a couple of times now. Where I saw it at the Xbox conference, and now this is just the second time I'm seeing it, so I haven't really been inundated with it just yet. But it might be just a one-trick pony as well, and that made me laugh. But the rest is just all the same, and it's whatever. Because
Sure.
the actual shooting and all that didn't look that great, like from a gameplay perspective. So it'll be interesting once you get the like thumbs on the sticks, see what it actually feels like.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there isn't too much more for me. There's Goat Simulator 3, which looks like it could be fun, but I can't see myself buying it. That'll be a great Game Pass game for me, personally. But apart from that, yeah, nothing too exciting really. Like new Tales from the Borderlands looks interesting. That's also coming to Switch, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Callisto Protocol as well. But I'm not too interested in that personally. But anything
Yeah, me
else?
either.
Anything else for you that you're keen for?
It was cool to see Monkey Island.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm a huge Monkey Island fan, so it was cool to like get that release date, get that new trailer and everything. I'm really, really excited about that. I've been a Monkey Island fan my entire life, and that's one of the earliest games I remember playing as a kid. My uncle's copy of that game on an actual floppy disk. I remember that. And still, the intro tune to Monkey Island is like one of the most evocative pieces of music for me. Like I love even just like the beginning where it just like fades in. You get that little twinkly like do 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 do. Oh, I love it. It's so good. It's like the Goonies, and it's like all this like Treasure Island kind of stuff, like all wrapped into one with like the humor of Ron Gilbert. And yeah, I love Monkey Island. I'm really, really excited about that.
If I had unlimited time, I would definitely check it out. But it might be a wish
Yeah.
list title for the time being. But wasn't there sort of a bit of controversy going on with that game? Like, didn't Twitter
Yeah.
run the developer off Twitter because of the art style or something?
Yeah, people were so upset about the art style. I think it looks great.
It does. Yeah.
I personally, but yeah, people were so down on the art style that Ron Gilbert was like, you know what? I'm just gonna back off. Like, I don't really, and I think he kind of knew because it was just revealed a couple months ago. I think he kind of knew that they were in the home stretch anyway. He's like, I probably don't need to say much. Like, I can
Yeah.
probably just, let Devolver Digital roll out the new trailers or whatever, and I can probably kind of step back from this, you know. But I think the people who love Monkey Island are on board. I personally, Monkey Island's gone through so many art style changes too, and I've enjoyed all of them. Like, if it were up to me, like I would love a pixel art old school style LucasArts scum game Monkey Island, but in the modern age, like, it's far less laborious to make it look like this, especially at a budget. I think the game's $20, so I'm so stoked for it though.
Yeah, it's just another aspect of internet being a bit silly, but
Yep.
it is what it is. I reckon I really want to rally those people up and just put your anger towards Nintendo for Mario Strikers. Come on, help me out here. I feel like I'm grumpy about it. Everyone's just like, it's all right. I'm like, it's not. No, I am joking about that. Don't do that.
Just direct the passion somewhere else. Like, rather than being mad about that, like, go do literally anything else.
Go get your laundry done, you grumpy bastards.
Yeah.
Christ.
Go touch grass. Yeah.
Do something. All right. Well, that's all our news. So yeah, got through that. Cool. Yeah. So let's move on to the Red Coin releases for the games that came out this week, and there's actually some decent games this week too. We're having some good weeks in a row, which is good. So let's jump into that. All right, so we've got a nice little theme here, Seth. So join in the vibes here. But the first game here is Right, and I'll discuss that. But I'll send you a link here. This is a list of the eShop games that came out this week. Say something that tickles your fancy, whether it's just a funny name or a good game.
Okay.
So the first game is Right, and Right is a high-speed precision platformer where you must conquer a series of demanding trials, a rite of passage for every nim. Every nim. I don't know what that means. Because
I love it.
It throws me off sometimes because like when I open the eShop page, like some words are like separated to the next line, so I've got to put it together in my brain, and sometimes it slows me down a bit. I'm like an old processor on maybe your mum's computer, which takes a little bit too long, but it gets there eventually, it gets the job done. So the little blurb here is find the key and reach the exit to move on to the next trial, and maybe collect some gold along the way. Who knows? It could prove valuable to those who like a brutal challenge. For fans of platformers old and new, Right features 160 carefully crafted levels, fluid and responsive controls, lush pixel art, and an original soundtrack by the grand prize Big Fuzz. And I actually got access to this game. It's a Adelaide developed Australian game, so very local. I haven't fired it up yet, unfortunately, but it's pretty cheap. It's only like $10 here in Australia, and it's also on sale for 20% off, so not too bad. Personally, it reminds me a lot of maybe Super Meat Boy, where it's like those hard, challenging levels, but you could pretty much see a lot of it in like the one screen, which is pretty neat. I'm keen to get into it. I just haven't been in like the action reflex mode where I really need to be demanded as far as my skills go. I've been like, all right, I just want to play a JRPG and I want to select my moves and watch it happen. To be honest, lately. So yeah, that's my game. Have you picked one yet, Seth?
You know what? I could shout out, all kinds of games here that like, there's I look at some of this stuff, I'm like, Islets looks cool, Pac-Man World Repack looks cool. That's all well and good. I'm gonna go with the Vikings games Madness Fight.
Okay.
Which just I'm looking at the eShop listing here, and my goodness, it looks magical. The blurb here: the Vikings games Madness Fight is a fighting game for two players where you move your arms madly to try to hit your opponent and win the fight. And just one of the screenshots, just one of the characters just is Kratos from God of War. But
oh, interesting.
His name is Keratos. Like it's just Kratos with an A between the K and the R. Pretty good.
Let me look up this. This is Vikings game Madness Fight. So it's $7.35 here in Australia. Well, that is Kratos, yeah. So yeah,
it is Kratos.
I'm trying to figure out what's actually going on. Like it's just pixel art. But I'm trying to figure out like what you're actually doing. It looks like a fighting game. You got health bars at the top.
Game. Mm-hmm.
A little bit confused. And just like the menu there looks like it's like a Flash game or something. Which nothing wrong with Flash games, but it's definitely got a style.
Look, somebody likes it. Somebody out there likes it. I'm not going to yuck somebody's yum.
Yeah, no, don't yuck people's yum because yums are delicious. What else we got here? This game looked interesting to me as well. I think it's pronounced Islets.
Yeah. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I was looking at that. Yeah. And it's got a very nice sort of art style, very like hand drawn. And the blurb here on the eShop is: take to the sky, reunite a fragmented and lovingly painted world, and face powerful monster adversaries in this surprisingly wholesome adventure game. Aiko is an inspiring yet hopeful warrior exploring the land and sky to reunite a series of floating islands. With this rickety airship, he must travel from island to island in order to reignite each one's magnet core while fighting off many adversaries standing in his way. Islets is a surprisingly wholesome Metroidvania about making connections with people around you. So cool. That actually sounds really cool. Looks yeah,
nice
a friend
too,
of mine's been playing it and he really likes it, but
okay.
I'd be interested. This is the same developer behind this game Sheepo, which is a non-violent Metroidvania, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested
Alright.
in this one.
Yeah, so they've had sort of their chops in the Metroidvania scene before.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, looks cool. So yeah, it's just $28.95 on the Australian eShop. So it's probably $1.50 in the US for you, Seth. Knowing our conversion rates.
Yeah, I
Not quite that cheap.
Let me.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's say it's probably something like that.
be about 20 or 21.
But it's
Something
20.
like that.
Let me see what we got here. Now you got me curious. It is. I'm loading up the American eShop right now. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, 20. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Very nice. All right. Well, I think that sort of does it for what I want to highlight. But yeah, Pac-Man World did come out. I was a teenage exocolonist as well, which looks pretty interesting. Bunch of stuff on the eShop if you want to go and check it out. Which there's a game here called Forest Camp Story, and for some reason I just read it as Forrest Gump. I don't know, just caught my eye.
Forrest Gump story.
I would like to play that. Yeah, that'd be cool. So yeah,
I'd be alright with that.
That brings us to the end of the Red Queen releases, and Seth brings us to the end of the House of Mario. I know I've taken you away from Splatoon, the Splatfest, and sorry for taking you away for 2 hours and 20 so minutes, but
Hey, of
I
course.
really appreciate your time, and obviously being able to talk to you for the first time. I'm sure it will be the first of many, which I'm really excited to continue, collaborating and stuff with you as far as our podcast and everything go. And it's been great too, because we sort of we got the kick to basically do this because someone else basically made like a bit of a text thread on Twitter just with a bunch of us Nintendo podcasters. So, being able to talk with one another, and that became a little bit easier, and that gave us the push. And I'm really glad it happened.
Me too.
I've really enjoyed the last couple of hours having a chat with you, and I think we covered a lot of ground, which is great. So, yeah, no, thank you very much again. Yeah, so you do a lot of work. I think everybody needs to go and check you out. I think after listening to this for 2 and so hours, I think they realize you're a really great person to listen to. You've got that really soothing, calming voice, which I really appreciated in your content. I think it's great. And the first time I listened to you, I don't know if you've heard this before or this is a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, but your voice reminded me of Max Scoville from IGN. Have you ever heard that before?
Really? No, I've never. I'm a big fan of Max Scoville, but I've never heard that before. That's interesting.
I haven't listened to Max in a long time. It's been a little while since I've tuned into Podcast Beyond. But yeah, that's sort of what clicked in my mind first. So I mean that as a compliment. I mean that as a compliment.
No, look, I'll take that. It's really funny. I've always not liked my voice until but now that people, and it's just because I've just heard such an inordinate amount of it over the years. Like I've had to hear so much of my own voice, but I've been complimented so much on my voice, especially from people listening to All In. So it has given me a little more confidence in it. So I do appreciate that. And I mean, just to echo what you said, like it's been great to finally just kind of connect and hang out with you for a little bit and, get to talk some Nintendo. I love that we, kind of got that drive and that push to connect with other Nintendo content creators. And that's something that I talk about with a lot of folks, just like we should be doing this more. We should be doing this more often. Like we have, I think, a unique space in this sort of indie Nintendo world that we are in, where it's not that competitive. It's not like people are actually just trying to lift each other up and work together and be friends. And I feel like that is pretty unique to this little scene that we find ourselves in. It's really, really wonderful.
Because there's a lot of people I have stuff in common with because of video games. And then if they like Nintendo games, I have that little bit more in common with. But when it comes to people that love Nintendo and love podcasting and do a Nintendo podcast, that's when our interests really sort of lock in. And I was listening to Sean Capri's podcast with the Gamercast, and Andros was on, and he was talking about the struggles and tribulations about doing the podcast and what makes it hard and tricky, and his drive, and compared to maybe his co-host or something who was just there because it's fun and all that. But
Right.
I'm like, we really have so much in common. And while we're from different parts of the world, different jobs and different interests out of gaming, I think it really sort of cements us as straight away friends, because we just jumped on and did this podcast and had a great time. I think it was a lot of fun. I hope everyone else enjoyed as well. And like I said, after listening to Seth for this long, definitely want to go and check out his podcast, All N, a Nintendo podcast, and Keep Nintendo Weird. And also go and check out his YouTube channel, Twitch channel, all under the All N name, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty much All N Podcast, ALL podcast. You Google that, you'll find us pretty much everywhere. And yeah, thanks so much again for having me, man. This has been a blast. Like we're 2.5 hours just melted away, just hanging out. I could hang out with you all night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And guys, that brings us to the end. So thank you very much for coming over to the House of Mario. This has been episode 232. But guess what? My hospitality's run out, Seth. It's time to go home.
All right, I guess.
It's time to go to bed, all right? Bloody kick you out the bar, kick you out the kitchen. You've eaten all my my ice cream, my Mario Party Superstar ice cream. King Dedede has sucked everything out my fridge.
Right.
Yeah, I've had enough. So it's time to go home. So the
Dedede and I
doors
are out of here.
Yes. So the doors to this episode are closed, guys. I'll catch you later.